Hello, hello, hello. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to our series on GCR, the big lie. And what is the GCR and what is the big lie? That's what we'll get into. This is actually, we're at T minus 1, I believe. And we've named these in a countdown fashion. And so we've been counting down from basically a 2-week countdown. A couple of reasons for that was there was from Manna World Holding Trust, and what Tank has been telling us is that it wasn't for Manna, but Trump gave the cabal 2 more weeks to enslave us with GCR. What is the GCR? The global currency reset. Now, I've been participating in this GCR for the last 4 years plus, but thinking I'm doing the right thing, as so many that are in the GCR are doing. They're all have these great plans, but the one behind the curtain, when you pull it back, and it wasn't the fuddling old Wizard of Oz, it was it's the cabal making plans on how they will create their debt slavery system version 2.0. And this is just one of the systems that they had put in place. One, to what it's coming from Tank, and I can accept that they were sidelining the creative people so that we wouldn't be in the way of creating abundance, right? While they're trying to collapse the world. So us all waiting for tomorrow for the payout of this, because it's due, it's going to happen, it's tomorrow, it's today, it's happening right now, but the money never transferred. But you hear some rumor, oh, someone got paid. Oh, because of this reason it didn't happen, and this is going there. The stars are not aligned, and the politics in Iraq, or the someone's birthday. Who knows what the reason is that why it didn't happen, other than, if it was to happen, it means it's the end of the US dollar. It's the end of everything that was supporting the economy. And they are bringing this in place to say, let's start, right? Here's our new money. And so everyone in this GCR was going to be able to exchange their Iraqi dinar or Zimbabwe dollars or historical bonds for new money that would make them fabulously wealthy beyond anyone's imagination. But some of us are very imaginative. We can deal with quadrillions, not just trillions, but quadrillions. It's 1,000 trillion is a quad. So we can deal with that, no problem. even 10 times that, 100 times that, 1,000,000 times that. We've got it covered. We've got some great imagination. And that's why they sidelined us, put us on the side, always waiting for it to happen, making plans, all for the good and betterment of everyone. Who else would they want to sideline? Have us all wait, right? Well, it's time to stop waiting, realizing that the GCR did not happen. The 2 weeks that was given by Trump for them to perform has passed as of last Friday. This is a brand new week. And of course, you know, always when the GCR doesn't happen on a Friday, oh, wait till Monday. Oh, wait, you can't do it on a Monday. It's because the bank is just open. You got to wait for them to do the things in the day. And, you know, so Tuesday's the day, right? So no more waiting. No more of this. We have come to a time when there is now a way in which people will be able to receive funds, not through the GCR, but directly what is now given back to us through the trustee, Kim Gagoin of the Manna World Holding Trust. And this is then literally ours and outside of their control. So this is the process that we're going through and waking up people to let people know that this is now underway. There's been several things that have happened now. Tank has not come on yet, but I will go ahead and send him the link. Let's just make sure that he has it. Sorry for that. A little. Put the music back on. Anyway. Okay. So, we'll get the update from Tank when he comes online, and we will again have our lively conversation. Now, originally we were thinking this was going to be we'll do an update every day for about an hour, right? And it immediately became 3 hours, and no matter how long I try to pull it back, it's 3 hours plus. And I hope everyone is enjoying at least the content and broadening their horizons. We've had, an elder who is not so old from Fiji Islands, and as he explained it, it's actually VT. That's the original pronunciation. Of course, whenever the colonialists come around, they always change the name. It's a way of literally removing history, but it's VT. VT. It's a letter like Victor, Tom, VT. So instead of Fiji. Okay. But now, so he is, I guess you would call a priest king, of Fiji, and he has the support of the elders that are there, and they have appeared on with us. And they're watching probably now. Hello, everybody. Tui will. I'll send out the link to Tui also later after Tank gets on, and we get an update. And he's welcome to join us anytime. This is the point of what we're doing here is to remake the world into an abundance-based world, and that means we have to transition. We have to stand up on our own and not agree to be slaves. And please come and help us. We need your help, intergalactic beings, or a king to come in and swoop in and save it. No, we have to do it, and this is part of it. We have to stand up and say we're done with this enslavement. That means this system of money that is based on nothing or interest-based money is truly a way of enslavement. I actually brought up and talked with about these abundance-based principles for the last few years, being part of the Billion Coin community / Kringle society, and creating an economy based upon a cryptocurrency that is community based, right? And our value comes from our members, and that's it. From our members, we're pegged to gold as the price, but our value increases every time a member joins by 1 grain of gold. So this is our basics. But I've had these conversations about what it is to have an abundance-based economy. What does a world look like? And I once had really talked about interest being evil, and using it always ends to enslavement, and that you shouldn't charge interest, right? And even you think about a lot of things. If let's say, what comes from that is, late charges, right? You're penalized, right? There's always a penalty for missing your payment. It increases another percentage. It's another thing. So things are not just about interest, but literally a percentage. So if you are always under a percentage, that means it can extend and that amount can get very large. If you have a limited, finite amount, just like the value of the money is supposed to have a finite value. It's not nebulous. It has a finite value. So if you have a fee instead of interest, a bank could work off of that, even if the fee was, the same as the loan. You needed, $1,000 and you had to pay back $2,000. At least you know what you're getting into. In interest, you don't know, especially the compounding interest and other forms of interest that are out there that make it, that you're paying back over the years 5 times, 10 times the amount, and then everything else that goes along with it that you've exchanged to get the value of one thing 5 times that value. Does it make sense? Does it actually, help anyone to really be in that position? So interest is a percentage. We should not be using interest rates as a way of lending money or coming together. So just think about the solid value of something in an exchange, not something that is various and can go up many times. That you lock it in the beginning, you have an agreement, and you fulfill your agreement. If you're late, you're late. Do you want to be late? If you're not going to pay back loans, that's a whole other thing. And having your integrity and the way you do business follow you around in life is appropriate. So I actually have gone into a whole development of a system that I called Personomy. And in that system, it was a social networking e-commerce system. And we had implemented it for testing in medical marijuana dispensaries, where the only way that you could get in and out was with your biometrics, right? But all the data was owned by the individual. The system did not own the data. So to be in this environment, if we implemented, a cryptocurrency, it would all be owned by you. The transaction you did with someone was only your transaction. So nobody knew you bought a piece of gum or anything. I use a piece of gum because I always think, like, when I go to, a 7-Eleven, I swipe a card and it comes up and registers in my system that I purchased a piece of gum. Why does the other people need to know what I purchased? It could be anything. Let's say I'm at the grocery store and I buy, say, milk, bread, cheese, ice cream, and it turns out that, dairy products. You have too much dairy products. We're going to increase your rate on your insurance. Right? Because you may have a heart attack because you have too many dairy products. Whatever this is, it's too much. They don't need to know how you live your life. The system, because the only reason they need to know that is to continue to get bigger and bigger profits, to remove from you, finding ways to remove the reason for them to pay out on your insurance. Insurance is a great idea, but it has to also be abundance based. And how do you? And then we can start thinking about what is an abundance based insurance, and what is an abundance based business, and what is an abundance based everything. And we need to build an abundance based world that is the opposite of the parasite based slavery system. And so we just have to build it alongside. Don't need to tear that one down. It's fallen apart by itself. We just need to build something else. Build something that is out of abundance. Build something that is for everybody's benefit. And continues to bring abundance ongoing. Not for just a lifetime, but not for a generation, but multiple generations, forever and ever expanding. One that would never end, because there was never anyone collecting all of the funds all at one end. And we do that by realizing that we are the value. We are the value. And we cannot infringe on others' values. Like when I say about what is solid, right? What is a solid deal? Where we don't have interest attached, don't have a percentage attached. I'm not saying we can't divide up a company and say we're all going to work together, and I'm going to get 20% and you're going to get 12%. You could do that. You can also very easily make up a company which everyone has the same percentage. Both are okay. You're dividing up a company, but which one will do better? Not to restrict people from doing things, but when you have a system in place, it should have some basic principles, such as that it's an open architecture. Everybody knows the rules of the game. Everybody knows how to have that system function. But closed source, meaning nobody can get behind the hood of the car and tinker with the engine. Open architecture, closed source is an argument that I made back around year 2000, 2001, when I was buying a subsidiary of Gateway Computers called Amiga Computers. Now, a lot of people may have known as Commodore Amiga, but I was launching a new Amiga system back then. And it got into the debate with the open source crowd. And the concept of the open source crowd is a wonderful, wonderful idea of open source. And in a lot of ways, it has a lot of merit, just like the merit system has merit. Thanks for joining us, Galactic Unicorn. This is Space Command. I'm glad to have
Galactic Unicorn, Ascended Masters.
So I'm on a roll here, I guess, talking about abundance-based economy. How do we get there? So at this time, when I was buying Amiga from Gateway, I had this debate with the open source crowd, because and what I did was I ended up writing an article, and the article basically represented operating systems of computers as political governing bodies, such as a socialist system, which I labeled as Linux. And I said fascist dictatorship of Microsoft, and the benevolent monarchy of Apple, and then the capitalist system of Amiga. And I basically went through what the different systems represented and how their subjects, the citizens, the people participating with those operating systems, how they had to deal with those operating systems. And I made the point, because what was being presented to me by the open source crowd is they wanted to take the Amiga operating system and open source it. And I basically said that would be disastrous. because it is a capitalist system. And it is the one that is the most creativity. And in fact, I outlined that the idea of multimedia came from Amiga. Everyone doing multimedia out there, the term and the first functions of it started on the Amiga. The very first Amiga that came out 1 month before the Macintosh had a decentralized processing environment. They call it a preemptive multitasking environment. And it actually had 4,000 colors, or the Mac had 2. It had a full screen animation, could connect to video, had stereo sound, and it could basically outperform any of the systems today with a 50 megahertz processor, not gigahertz, 50 megahertz processor could outperform this Mac that I'm sitting on in regards to how it processes things. And so its environment allowed people to be very creative. You could create any kind of interface that you wanted, right? You could, whatever came out of your mind, you could represent and have that is performed. Now, under the tyranny of the Microsoft environment, if you were presented a box of tools that was about this big, and Microsoft's box of tools was like this, and you could use all these tools in here, but if you actually were successful, they would take one of their tools out of their toolbox because you can't get to them. It's closed. You can't see what's there. It's not an open architecture, right? You're only given these things to deal with. And then they could use those tools to disable your product, and they would make a competing product. And then they'd eventually come and buy you. And if you were in the benevolent monarchy of Apple, they would say same thing, but they had a very standard interface. You could only do it this way. You had to follow the rules. If you follow exactly these interface rules, you could create a product and it would be accepted by Apple, and you would be able to function within that environment. But then they too had a closed architecture. You had no idea how to access all of these specialized tools that they had in the background. But they were benevolent, at least Jobs was. Now, maybe not so. It's been taken over. So they moved to China. So are they now a communist operating system? Anyway, that's another article, I guess. So, so anyway, I said that what happens ultimately in the socialist system of Linux is that a dictator will rise, and that dictator will then say, "You're going to do things our way." And that's exactly what was happening at the time of me writing this article. And I made the point that Red Hat and Caldera, both versions of Linux, both decided to be the dictator and had a war, ignoring the licensing agreement that was there because they don't care. And they said, only our programs that are made for our version, our flavor, will work on our systems. You can't have another system coming. So this was a war that went on. So ultimately, there's a dictator that rises out of a socialist environment, and the winner would be the one that was there. Now, I believe that war was actually both lost. Put it that way, and the socialist system still prevailed, but nobody can be everyone in that system is at the lowest common denominator of wealth. Nobody makes enough money to survive. Only you have to have another job. You have to have another source on the capitalist side where you can literally go. So socialism is really great for your family. If you took it and made it as an idea for a family environment, that works. But once you take it out and you now make a center of someone else being in charge, it's not about your family anymore. It's about their family. And again, but if you had a benevolent group, they could lose out, like what's happened with on the Apple side. Jobs is gone, and look what's happened. So no more benevolency. We'll just move to China and be a dictator of everybody who is using Apple products. And listen, I love Apple products. This is an Apple over there, and I hate Windows products. So, when we talk about creating an abundance-based environment, we have to look at what works. So, open architecture and closed source. Closed source means that you get ownership, but everyone has the same rules to play with. So when we go out and we're going to start working with abundance-based business models, we have to try things that work. On the TBC community side, one of the basic rules, and there's really only one rule when you join, to honor the membership agreement that says you don't discount the value. And that originally meant the coin. Right? You don't, if it's because it's set one price per day. You can't, it's because the price goes up every day because members join every day. The price goes up, it's attached to gold, and there's fluctuations. So, but the value is from the people. So you can't discount the value of anyone. That turned into, we have 50-50 partnerships. We equally share what we're based on. So this is a concept that's come out of creating an abundance-based model. It may not be the only one, but it's a consequence of the very first and only rule that there was, is honor the daily price. That's the membership agreement. We agree that it goes by a formula. It's attached to the value as we join, and it goes up based on how many people join. And that price is set by the value of gold that's in there by 1 grain of gold per member, registered member that's added to our membership, which means you pay your $10 fee for the lifetime wallet fee, and that's it. So this concept of abundance-based system has to be worked on. We don't understand how to make that happen until we try things. Right? And so we have to be creative. And that only happens when you have the open architecture and the ability to close your source so that people can, so you can own what you have. So, well, I think that's a good way to bring this to a start. So anyway, welcome, Galactic Unicorn, Tank.
Hello.
I really like the little icon you have there for your daughter's channel, Galactic Unicorn.
Yeah, me too. Actually, it's really cute. Yeah, she's we're putting together her little shows. They're really fun.
And it doesn't affect your manhood in any way.
Listen, Dan, I'm very comfortable with my masculinity, and you can be too. It's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it's always good to have you here. So let's have our update to get started, and we'll see where we end up 3 or 4 hours from now.
Sure. So as of right now, the governments have, as I said yesterday, they've recognized that the RV did not happen. They were in meetings all weekend, but Kim has still not been contacted. Big surprise, but they have not contacted Kim. They have not given her an update even as of yet. So once again, the government bodies are demonstrating their lack of good faith and their lack of follow through, unfortunately. And secondly, Kim continues to build the bypass or to take over the system, essentially. She's always been able to do this, but to do it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone and to make sure she abides by the laws. She has been slowly, she's been transferring, and she has been testing. And each time that she tests, a new hole in the in the system is revealed, or a new hack, a new siphon. They've had virtually millions of these viruses and hacks and various ways that they try to attack. So and they all present themselves under different circumstances, depending on how things come in. So she just, every time she goes, they hit it up, they try something else, and she just shuts it down. and but she is rapidly eliminating all of those obstacles, and when she's done, she will be able to transfer, and humanity will essentially be free, at least financial freedom, and then to actually live free will be up to us. So that's that update. That's what I got so far.
Okay. Well,
What's on the Q agenda? Aren't we like it's today's the last day? Tomorrow's the big day. What's all
well,
going down?
it does seem that there is a let's see, events going on where the indictments seem like they're about ready to happen. It looks like it's going to be the Clinton Foundation that's gone after. It does. This is like the seeing what's coming out of the news and what QAnon is kind of pointing us to, and yeah. So what we have another day to go for the 21st to arrive, and then that would be the one date on the countdown. Now again, there was made note that the countdowns can change, so they may be waiting for a one of these false flag events to occur, and maybe that false flag is ready to go for tomorrow because they're going to change the news cycle and they want to take it off of the Clinton Foundation and move it over to this thing. And so we'll see where it goes, but it looks like it's about ready. So,
Hey Dan, why don't you explain that? Because I think what I've noticed is I have a lot of people reaching out to me who this is all brand new to them, and I think false flag is a term that we just kind of take for granted that people are familiar with.
sure.
And this weekend, there was the anticipation of the failed RV. They distracted us all with another event, right?
Yes. Well, a false flag is what is a flag? Well, it's like raising the flag to draw attention, right? A false flag is they're drawing attention to bring the attention there, but for a false reason, meaning that it was a planned event. Now they make it seem like something that was just occurred out of the blue, but it was actually planned for the intent of drawing your attention away from something else. So, for example, what's happened in New Zealand with this guy, and they want to claim he was a white supremacist MAGA supporter, right? Trump supporter, which just he mentioned the word Trump in some of his manifesto, but you could tell that he is completely opposed to Trump if you actually read what he says. But the news is spinning it the other way, right? And then Podesta was just happened to be there 5 days beforehand and claimed and said, you guys you could have a terrorist event here, and then suddenly it happens. It's very odd.
Well, Podesta is a prophet, as you know.
Oh,
So,
with his broken fingers,
ugh.
so it reminds me of like the witch, in the Wizard of Oz with her. Always like this.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer's got that vibe to me too. This kind
Oh
of
yeah,
stoic face. Like there's nothing more insulting to me than when Chuck Schumer says, "My fellow Americans, make no mistake." I'm like, please stop talking.
you
You're
are the
killing me.
mistake,
Yeah, I know. You had been in office for like 40 years. Like
and
that's a mistake.
that's a mistake, and it's a rigged system. But there was I know we're a little change of topic. I wanted to bring up that I received an email, and I started putting my email down on the bottom for those that Telegram is outside of their wheelhouse. So I I put my email there. So I got received a couple emails. One, a gentleman that's been very helpful. He was pointing out a few things, and one was a video that you had posted on the Speak Private, and it talked about Kim Clement's prophecies, and I actually want to go ahead and bring that up and go over that while we're here. I'm just going to focus on just a couple of little pieces here. So let me share my screen. I moved to a particular time code. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play it.
God says, listen to me. As the beginning of the restoration, as it begins, there shall be a woman that shall rise up.
So that's it. There's another part to this as well. I'm going to go back to about right here. But the idea that a woman is going to rise up as well. Now, I was brought into, I heard of Kim Clement. I heard a couple of his prophecies. I never really dug into it too much until Trey Smith did his Trump prophecy, where before the election, about 2 months before, I think it was October, beginning of October, maybe something like that. He basically came out and said Trump's going to win, and because Kim Clement basically this is it, and he put a great video. It's wonderful. Go back to Trey Smith. Go to Trey Smith, TreySmith YouTube channel, also known as God in a Nutshell. His great videos, but you listen to his prophecy video about Kim Clement and Trump coming to power. So that it was really fascinating. So to hear this, and I put in context of Kim, of course she's a woman. I would like to know if there's more about that. But let me go back to this video. I'm going to play this from here. And
that woman has never stopped fighting for people who don't give a damn about her. Now, you tell me what any of those Chinese elders,
so this is Kim walking through the hall and all the Chinese elders,
gals, leads, all those fraudulent dragon family garbage. They're all garbage. Why on earth would you give them another chance to take over the world? Why? What have they done?
So yeah, that's the other part. So anyway, those two pieces there, little clips out of this one video, are someone is going up against the cabal, and she's just walking straight through them. And if this is the one that Kim Clement is really referring to, that's amazing. I'd like to know more. I know that Trey Smith is close to the Kim Clement family, and that they have there's his notes and things that they've been bringing out. It's like further illuminating some of his words of prophecy about what is coming. But they've been focused on Trump, and I wonder if there's anything else about Kim.
Yeah, I can actually that version of the clip I actually put out today. I cut a piece of last night's call, and I'm going to cut that all up, because I think each part was valuable independently. So I started to do that today, and I had another one where I actually I added, Kim Clement and the Legend of Fiji Part 1. I put on the end of that the Kim Clement prophecy, and I actually have it right here because there's.
Oh, you got muted, just in case you did not know, or maybe he muted on purpose. So, but yeah, that is a fascinating thing for me to hear that, because I was so tuned in and to what that prophecy was saying about Trump, and it was very very obvious. Yeah, and they also made the point about the vice president's name is Pence. So you got together, you have Trump and Pence, Trump, Pence, trumpets, trumpet. Yeah, so God has a very good sense of humor. Yeah, the trumpets will sound. There we go. Well, I appreciate the email as basically pointed this out, and there are some other things that were being pointed out as well, and I appreciate that with time code. Say, hey, go look here. That's a very good, effective way. Just doing 3 hours of video in one day is quite a lot. So it's a I've done long stints, and it's okay. But we're now in 2 weeks of doing this daily, so it does. It is something that requires a lot of focus to come here and do these. Well, we'll see. Where else can we go today? So he was just talking about putting together some clips from these videos, and I was thinking of doing the same thing, kind of breaking them up, because there are so many particular topics in them that people may be focused on wanting to hear more on one particular topic, and if every day we had 20 minutes on a particular topic, we put them all together into one. That would be effective, or at least break them down and put them into a playlist. That would also be helpful. But that takes, again, time to do the editing. You gotta, if it's a 3-hour show, you gotta listen to 3 hours, and then it's the time of editing in between. If you just break them down as you go, you could probably keep it down to about 3 hours to break up those things. So I'll make an attempt to try and do some of that. We're going to have a continuation of doing shows, and we'll probably break off into some other topics. So like GCR The Big Lie, maybe we'll do that show once a week, all right? And then focus on just that GCR part of it, and give like the GCR The Big Lie update. And then maybe we'll do another show about Manna and go and update. So that might be a way that we take this and have some open forum days where we have people call in on days, and others want. And we'll try and keep them down an hour show, 40 minutes. Hello, Tank. You're back.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know if you actually heard anything I said. No, you didn't hear anything.
You left at the point where you were saying you were breaking up the shows into segments. And
awesome. Yeah. Okay. So why can't I get this to change?
You gotta do your auto rotate.
Yeah, I did. Well, anyways, basically, if you listen to Kim Clement's prophecy, what he says in the prophecy is that a woman will rise up in midway through Trump's presidency, or midway through the presidency, it says. And it says that she will have the oil of glad tidings. It says that schools will be safe and free from drug cartels and from damage. Now, not many people know this, but Kim put certain things in place to prevent child trafficking. A lot of the measures, that would take place would disable the cabal's ability, or the United Nations ability, to interfere in the schools, right? A lot of the mind control that takes place, would change almost instantly just because of some of the measures Kim has taken with in the kind of cyber corrections. Also, it says, midway through Trump's presidency, which is right now, right? That's midway through his presidency, right as we speak. And, it says that she'll have big round eyes, which she does. Kim has beautiful blue eyes. And it also, it says that God will crown her as he did Esther. And when you take all those factors together, it's a pretty compelling case that it is the same Kim Gogan that we're talking about.
So as he did Esther, so that's an interesting thing, because that's a time of Babylon.
Yeah, interesting story about that, actually. So Marduk, the one who, the version of himself that he was here, his thought, I believe, was he wanted to marry Kim. And I think that probably it was so he could take control of the system or something like that. But that was one of the things that he wanted to do, So that would make sense. So also, there's other people, some of these various characters who believe themselves to be, Amenhotep, and things like that. They've gone up to see Kim. I remember that some individual, Dave Schmidt, went up there to see Kim, and he basically told her that he brought up his codes, his genetic codes that he was going to plant in her. you know, and like it's kind of like that was his line, which apparently it must have worked somewhere for him because but not with Kim. So it's I only mention these things because they're comical, but it really just goes to show just how disrespectful people have been to her. And meanwhile, if you listen to Tui, you know, in reality, and he's just confirming what we've been saying for a year. You know, everybody that goes in to access this system, and this system can only be accessed by a certain DNA. It's not like you can put a code in and figure it out, right? Now, on the one of the things that she did, we know she set up the level 8 and level 9 banking. So when she set up the level 8 and level 9 banking, what happened was they went on Hackorama, right, which is what Kim always calls it, whenever there's supposed to be the RV. So inevitably, right, Friday's their deadline. So Thursday, they go nuts trying to hack the system. So apparently, they were able to at least they didn't get into the actual system, but the challenge is that you're bringing it down from the quantum system into this kind of finite reality, this very limited system. Which, in that case, there's ways for them to get through that. So Kim's always putting walls up and firewalls and things like that. But we're right there. Can't be too long.
Well, that's an interesting line. The implant codes.
I know. I'm not trying to use it anytime soon. I don't feel like it's not my style.
Yeah.
I'm here to plant my codes. Dirtbag. These guys. It's funny, that video, like hearing myself, I'm like, wow, I was really like fired up. But that was just me in my car, like by myself, kind of ranting for a second. And I sent it to Kim to ask her if it was okay to put that out. And she agreed. Like she gave me permission to put that out, just FYI, because it's accurate. And there is a certain level of raising the energy that we're not going to hug it away. And I'm not an advocate for doing anything, but one of the things I was really kind of I sent a message to Kim, earlier tonight, and I was kind of like we'll find leaders that are conscious. We'll find people that we can do this peacefully. We can peacefully take control, so to speak, of the planet, or I don't want to say control, but we can peacefully give people their sovereignty. We can peacefully, coexist on this planet with people that aren't in these positions of power because they are corrupted. We've been talking about this, but I really don't know if I've been successful getting this across. Think about what you're actually dealing with. You have a government that does not represent the people. The furthest thing from their mind is representing the interests of the people. Because it's kind of like when you're stressed out about something, it's hard to focus on the greater good, right? Now their job is to represent the people, but they're not representing the people. Certainly not the interest. Here's how I know: because if you told me the option was okay, well, like we're all aware, because they all do know, and this is a fact. People at the top levels of government, they understand the agenda. They know because they've been threatened with it by the Rothschilds. They've been told what's going to happen. They all know. So it's not a secret to them. They don't have, and if it is a secret to them, they're not fit to lead. If they don't know what the agenda is, they should not be in any position of power, because that's your job, is to know. Like, you should know what the dangers are to the people you are charged to care for. You should. The planet you're charged to care for, you should know. So if they don't know, they're not fit to lead. If they do know, then they just negotiated terms and said, okay, take 2 more weeks to pull off your slavery and one world government agenda, to pull off your global currency reset, which will satiate most of the slaves by giving them a universal income, right? It'll satiate most of them. Most of them will be quiet when we give them this money, at least for a while. And by the time they realize they've been enslaved, they'll be eliminated by various biological weapons that we're going to release, right? Now they do know that. They do know that. So there's no excuse. So remember, Kim said all the government leaders gave them to the 15th. Well, now to the government leaders and various government employees, who are going to see this, what's your excuse right now? What are you doing right now? Like at this moment, what are the governments doing? How are the banks staying afloat? Because what we've done now is we brought it up to a Monday where we should be hearing about money going out right now. We should hear about the governments being funded by Manna. And I'll be honest, I don't even necessarily agree with that. I don't think at this point, if the governments have negotiated terms for our enslavement, they certainly don't represent our interests. They're not protecting us by any means. They're allowing them to poison our water, our air, our food. They're not acting in our best interest. And the fact that they don't, and not only that, but if you listen to Thomas Williams, maybe not this last show, but the one before, he said that all of the reserves that were held in the Federal Reserve with all these other countries, which I believe there's like 180 different countries who held reserves in the Federal Reserve. All of that money has been spent, every dime. So that means now you think of countries that are hurting for money and need it, and they want to call it back, and it's gone. It's been spent. So you put it in a bank for safekeeping, and it was stolen on you. I mean, that puts all of us at risk, every single person here. Now, that should be the main focus of right now. Like, you know what? You guys blew it. Like, we're going another way. But instead, you give them 2 more weeks to negotiate our enslavement and essentially our elimination, right? And the thought is, we might as well, because it will be okay, right? Because the guys at the top, they'll be cool. And while they're picking us off, with snipers and guns in the streets like they are doing in Haiti, randomly peaceful protesters walking down the street singing songs, and they start killing them. I mean, you don't even, it's not even a peaceful protest; it's a parade. You know, and that's the system we're in right now. I mean, that's what's happening right now. So when you think about that, and then on top of that, the reality is all of their treaties to be in this role for the corporation have expired. So why are we still being governed by corporate laws? And the reason why is they are in violation of the contract. So they're in violation of the contract. They don't care. They're fighting for control. They're basically the military coup that's taking place is not the way we think. I mean, in a sense, maybe that's happening somewhere. I don't see any evidence of it, but it would appear like the military coup is deliberately disobeying the president's orders, because we know the Treasury is. We know the Treasury is, right? And that's why his marriage just got broken up, and you have evidence of that. So, and this isn't a doom and gloom kind of message. I just, I did tell Kim, I'm like, look, I don't know why they want to be slaves. I don't know why. You know,
Well, they don't think they are going to be slaves. They're okay with us being slaves. That's the thing. They're in their minds, they're still in the leadership position, right? And so they have all the power. They can do everything. And while everything else is going bad, they are in alignment with the ones that are going to kill off everybody because they think that they're going to be saved.
They're not. They're not going to be saved. None of them. If this goes down, matter of fact, you might be the first one's gone. I mean, you're the guys in the movie who raised the mummy from the dead, thinking you were going to get infinite power. And when the mummy came out, he got huge and he stepped on you first. None of you. None. And matter of fact, nobody, no race of galactics, no race of anywhere looks at a group that betrays their own people for power and money as honorable that they want in their organization. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to hire those people. It's like, look, we know you don't act with honor because, you betrayed your own people to be with us. So, of course, they're going to kill you. Of course, there's no happy ending to that ever.
It's amazing. I've been in business a long time, And since I was 5 years old, right?
Right, right.
And I've had partnerships, and I've come to work with people in different ways, and you all more than likely you find people that are thinking out of the scarcity mindset, and that they will actually act against their word, and they will be dishonorable with you, and they will try and steal. And it happens, most of the time. It's very, very difficult to find someone that you can rely on, because the society teaches everyone to be scarcity mindset, and then you always have to act out of this fear that you're not going to have enough. You make up all your excuses as to why you're going to act this way, right? Because they're all justified reasons based in scarcity and fear. And then, so how, when you find someone that you can actually rely on, they're worth more than their weight in gold. Right?
Certainly. Well, and it's I gotta this to me is the as far as my personal tragedy goes in this process. It One of the hardest things to accept is that all of their lies at some point have become my lies, and probably a lot of people out there, because we've trusted them, right? So when you trust someone to do what they say they're going to do, and they have the power to do it, and then they don't, right? Their lies become your lies, right? Now that's how I felt about the RV for a long time, but I didn't realize that I was cheering for my own enslavement, right? And I shouldn't really know, to be honest, right? Like it's just I just got recruited to know, and now I'm repeating it. But if someone didn't have kind of mercy on me and pull me out and say, hey, look, this is what's going on, and then to be honest, I've told thousands of people and they don't receive it. So I feel very fortunate to even receive it, because, Dan, this, how much evidence we had from such high places about what was going on. And the reality is they were all deceived too. And that really is what it comes down to, is who's behind that, right? And once you realize that the one behind it comes from a much, much higher place. You know, I sent you this yesterday. I was saying, if you wanted to examine something, it's a little aggressive, but is Leo Wanta, right?
Yeah.
You know, Leo Wanta is pissed off and furious that he can't claim this money. But Kim took him apart in that article. I mean, she
Yeah, I
said,
know.
look,
I actually had read it earlier, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. And yeah, it's interesting because he played the part, a CIA operative, to go out and act and do things, and he had some power to do things at the time that it was bestowed upon him, right? And it was taken away. And he can't do anything anymore, and so he's pissed about it.
yeah, right. And then to make matters worse, and I'm not against Leo Wanta or anything, but they've mind wrecked the guy by promising him several times that they're going to give him access. Now, the reason why they've done that for the most part is to try to bypass Kim, right? They always try to they're always trying to appoint someone the signatory on something, so they find some limited credibility, and then they stall their life for indefinitely while they're waiting for this to happen. Because if you had $27 trillion waiting for you, and you knew you earned it, right, and you were part of it, and you saw all these things happen, what you'd be holding out to get that money, you'd think, right?
Yeah,
You're not going to go back to being a
hard to give
security
up
guard.
the RV.
Yeah. Right.
You deserve it. You've been waiting for it, and everything said that you're going to get it, except it wasn't real. There was something behind that you did not know about.
Yeah.
And now it's very obvious, that it isn't going to happen that way. Yeah, and if it did, so what I was not really thinking of is it was going to be a way of literally killing off people. That it funded the actual demise of the population. So that I never really caught until, when after speaking with you and getting a better, kind of a view about what may be going on behind the scenes with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard one to swallow, but I remember that very, very clearly. There's a couple hard facts, when like over the past year and a half or so that I've been working with Kim, where they've they sent 100 Chinese assassins to kill her into a internationally recognized safe zone, right? That you don't send spies up there to do that because it violates everyone's safety, because there's all types of very valuable and important people who are kept safe there, and everyone recognizes this person is valuable to humanity on some level, and you don't mess with them, right? You just don't do it. It's like I say, like John Wick, like
Yeah,
you don't mess up in the hotel.
We're just going to bring that up. Yeah. So the that safe zone in the hotel, you don't violate, right? And but that movie John Wick is really telling the story of the cabal. I mean that it is. I mean the first movie you really don't have that understanding of it, right? Because
Right.
you really just have, he's a hired gun, right? That retired, but he's got these gold coins in the buried and with all of his weaponry and everything, and but it's a second movie that really reveals behind the scenes what world was he in that were paid for everything in gold coins. And the only value. The interesting thing was that one gold coin, was paying for, like he never received change. Like, okay, I'm going to buy a drink at the bar. It's a gold coin. I got a new suit. It's a gold coin.
Right.
Value there is not the same value, right? So it's represented in that way. So
Yeah, they're represented by favors, right? So those things they represent, the you owe me one, basically. So that's kind of how that goes.
yeah. Well, but it's interesting how again the part of the rules of the game is they have to tell us what they're doing to us, which also have to tell us who they are, and they do tell us, right? It's in the movies. They do tell us the satanic worship. They do tell us all of these things, and in fact, it's vampires, zombies, and all this kind of stuff. It may not be as let's say as graphically represented, in the Walking Dead, zombies, or in the Dracula films, and how it's representing what that. But it's the concept behind it, the draining of the blood that does happen, and they use the blood for their life extension. So they're telling us because it's their rules. They have to do it. It's part of their magic, part of their system. It's also part of universal law of free will. We freely allow this to happen, right? We're being told, though we think it's just a movie, it's just a story being told, but no, they're literally using it as a means to communicate to the masses.
Right, but they make it entertaining.
Yeah.
So because it's entertaining, it's like, this can't be real. This is all ridiculous, right?
Right.
But like for example, there's this movie Jupiter Ascending, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, Jupiter Ascending has a lot of similarities that rival exactly what Kim's been through. I mean, really. And even that there's a family that's represented there that is a draconian family, and that name is the real name of the actual draconian family.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's real. That's how literal they can be in that, right?
But did Kim go to the bureaucratic planet and get the hologram tattoo?
I don't think she got the hologram tattoo, but she's had many experiences. Look, I'm going to jump early in your show right now to Red Pill deep, but the fact of the matter is, and this is true, that she is the ambassador for all of humanity. I mean, on the galactic level, it's known. Because they recognize her as the sovereign of the planet. So she speaks for all of us, and she's interceded to make sure that we don't get wiped out several times, more times than people realize, because you got to think there's a group, right, that has occupied us, right? Like we're like an occupied colony in a sense, right? And all of a sudden you have an uprising, and all of your top generals from that army that have been enslaving the planet and ready to take all its assets, they all got taken out in the same day.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Amazing.
It is really amazing.
When I look at that Jupiter ascending film, and they're harvesting planets on a galactic scale, and they're basically removing this substance from the individual bodies to extend their life forever, as long as they keep extracting, as they can kill off as many people as they want, right? Because it's just the animals. It's put as many of them to death as possible to get the substance that they make them young. And this is what we're being told the story. So the planet is ready for harvest. They want to kill off 90% and let it repopulate so they can come back and do it again.
That is correct. Yep. And you know what? That is, I don't know how to pronounce this exactly right, but that is that substance. Even though I don't believe that's how it's made, but you'll hear it talked about in a lot of alternative circles as loosh, right?
Yes.
They harvest. That's based on fear, right?
Right.
So that's why I said the only way to really make it so they don't even want to be here is stop being afraid. Fear is what feeds them, right? And they literally, it's like the Green Lantern, right? The Green Lantern is the green light of will, first cause of all creation. Right. And then the arch nemesis to the Green Lantern is the yellow lantern, which is fear.
Yeah, fear. Yeah, no, it's again, they're explaining how it works. Hey, we told you how it works. Love can defeat us. Well, free will.
Yeah.
Free will. Sorry, I mix metaphors.
All the same. Well, will's the same thing, right? To create something is very different.
I will do this. I will do that. I will it to be so.
I will be what I will to be. Aya Asher Aya. But it's this will that if you think about it, when you create something and you put your heart into it, right? Those are the terms we use. Even if it's dinner, that food is just healthier for you when it's home cooked. The reason why is because it's made with love. That's true, by the way. That's you're actually, putting your intention, like a parent putting their intention on the food, like good home cooking, right? It's made with love. So no matter what it is, it'll actually be better for you just because of the intention put in it. And you can take virtually anything that, you eat. And in that sense, it's made with love, and you're putting it in your body. It has a better intention. It's going to operate better inside your body.
Yeah. So you can have biscuits and gravy with all the bacon grease and flour. As long as it's made with love.
As long as it's made with love. Well, that's not exactly true, but there's definitely some truth to it. I mean, definitely some truth to it.
Yeah. I had to pick out, okay, what would be like that worst thing, you could have?
I know. Yeah, all grains and, things like that. It's funny.
That's actually, manna is a grain.
Yeah, the manna represented in the Bible. But it's definitely a whole grain, right? Because
the whole
manna fell from heaven, right? And they literally had to grind it the whole day. So they got to work out the whole day grinding this up just so they could have dinner later in the day. And then
or is it gold that's been turned into?
Could be
powdered white gold. So is that another kind of green? Because they made a bread of it. So is that why it was? It's not actually a grain, but it actually was gold, and then they made this white powder. The white powder they used as a flour and made bread.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, I've heard of that process. I know that's out there. I know that extends life as well. I know of a process with colloidal gold that actually cures cancer. So, it's definitely there's something to that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard to tell. Like I look at all of these ancient texts as symbols at this point, because they're so hard to, you can't really be married to any one thing per se, right? Like I use this example with this minister, Dr. Kinley, and he was asked, if God is everything, how can he never change, right? Because it says, I am God and I change not. And so Dr. Kinley answered, he said, Aya Asher Aya, I will be what I will to be, and that will never change. So basically he's saying, he's basically connecting with the ultimate source, right? The ultimate source of the universe, so to speak, and that all things are made of this ultimate source, right? That's why the scripture, that's why what it really says is, I will be what I will to be, because it's showing that will belongs to, this ultimate source.
Well,
Versus
when
I,
when you say I will, you're also taking action, which is the
correct.
opposite of being stagnant and apathy. So to be apathetic is not exercising your will.
That's right. And, it's funny. I was thinking about this. There's a difference between things being free and us being free, right? You can get a lot of free stuff and still be a slave. You know, Being free means I'm free to express myself and be however I want to be, as long as I don't hurt anyone else. Now, that in some cases, right, is going to require, you know, somebody who's really creative and has a big idea. They might need more substance to accomplish that. And if you're free, that substance should be available to you. And somebody else might need hardly anything.
Mhm.
You go to Fiji, and like you're in paradise, right? I mean, we were on the phone with Tui, and he said, after he got off the phone with Dan, he had to go, or yeah, I think it was Dan. He had to go cleanse himself in the waterfall. I'm like, that's right next to his house. Like, man, I would like to go cleanse myself in the waterfall. That sounds amazing, So
Yeah, it's always good to have one of those right next to your house.
I know, right? I mean,
I only have a hot spring.
oh, that's pretty cool too. I mean, I have hot water. I mean, not to brag. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to tell Tui, I forgot that as I live on a volcano. Literally, I live on a volcano. So it's like there's a lot of energy here, and
Yeah.
it comes up in hot springs, right? So it's a interesting energy flows, right? And actually, when I found this, it's a beautiful place. It just has such great energy. It's miraculous to find myself in this location and everything. So I always said it's a God to find myself in this location. Beautiful. But it's snowing where you're at, right?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Just check.
It's like a crisp summer day here. It's 43 degrees, and you know, enjoying it while I can.
Yeah. Well, it's 43 degrees for me, centigrade.
Yeah, it's a little different.
A little different. Yeah. So, it's been warm here, getting to that uncomfortable time in the late or the early evening hours. I do have to run to the air conditioning. So, but that's okay. The rest of the day is okay. Just need a fan blowing. So my fan is blowing off in the distance there. So, all right. So let's see. What else should we do? No, we have we're on our T-1. So tomorrow is T-0 liftoff. So what are we going to lift off with our programming here? And by the way, we're we're only an hour and 15 minutes into the show, so I could probably send Tui the link just in case he's waiting for it.
Well, so you're the Q fan, right? I mean, you're into it, you're a believer in the
plan. I trust the plan.
Yeah, the plan, right? The plan, which, despite the evidence I've shown, it's it's different, but okay, whatever. So okay, so in the plan, we should see some kind of arrests, right? It's all going to be magic tomorrow. It's going to be people going.
Well, let's just say that there will be indictments probably unsealed tomorrow. That's my guess at what this means. It also may mean that they allow the false flag to come out, right? And anticipation of what's supposed to happen tomorrow, and it doesn't, and then like next week it happens. So then the false flag that they had planned has now been replaced with the new news. So it's a news cycle. So if it doesn't happen and it happens the following week, people say, "Well, CQ was wrong," right? And it's not really the case. It's just like the idea of December 5th was focused, right? And we got a countdown, and it's almost here, and it was like months and months pointing to this day, and it was a momentous day in regards to George Bush's funeral and receiving this to show that there was a counter made, and things still did proceed, but there was
wait. Let's not gloss over that.
Okay.
So here's what happened. Nothing
Something
happened.
did happen.
No, yeah, they got envelopes. I know they got envelopes, and we were all going crazy.
Yeah, right.
So here's how we feed the machine, right? Here's how we feed it. So we see something that they got an envelope that warned. Now look, I don't doubt they got. I expected they got indictments telling them. I've heard different versions. I've heard that it said that Mike Pence is no longer your backup plan. I've heard that they were told they were actual indictments, like they were going to be indicted. I've heard that. I've also heard that there's military tribunals taking place, and Obama's been down there, and none of that's happening. I know that is not happening. Okay.
Well, there is military tribunals that are happening, and there's only one alternative media that's presenting it. It's c-time.net, I think, and they are presenting what's going on. But there was already started the military tribunal, and now it is for a Taliban terrorist that's been going on, and the battle there was that the system that was put in place by Bush was to allow everything to be in secret. The judge can shut down anything and close off the cameras and anytime they want. Trump changed that, so now they can't do it. So what was happening in Guantanamo Bay and Gitmo, and the trial that was going on there was halted for a medical emergency that the judge had to be rushed for a detached retina off the island. So now in Fort Meade, that one proceeded in 2 events, and I think that the next one is coming up, I think, in a couple of days in Fort Meade. I don't know about Gitmo, if that one is continuing at the same time, but it is happening. But it's still working out the system. The system is trying to resist showing everything. Now, they will be showing things on CCTV, those individual citizen journalists, but will not be sent to the mainstream media.
So, yeah, okay, that might be happening with. I mean, I agree that is happening with. I'm not saying that there's not any military tribunals taking place, anywhere. What I'm saying is the characters that a lot of these reports have said, like Barack Obama. They said, "Oh, Barack Obama's singing on everybody, and this is happening." No, it's not. No, it's not. And Hillary.
I agree that those rumors came out that Barack Obama and Hillary was picked up, and and we were tracking the prison boats, right? That were left from one from New York and one from I think Louisiana, and they both went to Gitmo, right? And so they have two prison ships there. One basically together they hold about 1,500 prisoners. Now we thought that they might be. Are they full? Just guessing. Are they full? Are they going? We thought that there was one leaving and going up to New York, right? And they were going to pick up people and take them down to Gitmo. But that was just theory, right? But really there was two, and it took a while to understand that there was literally two different ships, and both of them were going to Gitmo, which they had to spend money to dredge out the harbor so that those ships were able to be parked there, because it's $200 million to refit Gitmo, but for 30 prisoners, it's all that's there is 30 prisoners. So they don't need $200 million to make new beds for 30 prisoners. But that construction, everything is still underway. So they need a place. Why would they send two prison ships there? Unless they were going to put people in them, and you don't need prison ships for 30 prisoners.
So basically, what's happening is this: if I understand correctly, and you tell me where I'm off. So Hillary Clinton is still going on late night television. Barack Obama is still campaigning. Joe Biden is talking about running for president. But there's 30 beds in Gitmo, right? And they're adding beds. So first we got to wait for construction to complete, right? So now we've won the cabal. We said, okay, look, we have all these sealed indictments. We're coming for you. And we're going to wait for that to take place, right? So we're waiting for that. So construction has to take place. In the meantime, the punishment for known criminals, for people that we absolutely know have committed crimes. There is ample evidence about Benghazi that this was a planned attack. It was mercenaries that were hired and paid for. All right. And they attacked you. So Hillary Clinton falsely reported information to avoid, the Marines being notified of what was going to happen. Didn't send backup. Let them die. This happened, right? And that's a small thing by comparison to her crimes, right? But we'll just take that one because it's pretty public, right? So they have us distracted with that. Barack Obama was directly involved, right? Negotiating the freedom of terrorists, Islamic terrorists, right? That we knew to be terrorists. The reason why is the government is being run, or was run at very least at that time, run by terrorists, right? So now we're looking for a new age. We're looking for a change. So what is happening now is the government so infected with corrupt characters that President Trump, that we all agree is, doing the very best he can to to root this out. But in reality, these guys they're everywhere. They're all liable, and they're all conspiring against him constantly. And then when he has people that are on his side, he turns around and they'll stab him in the back to get ahead because somebody's got a tape of them doing something awful, right?
Right.
So in the big scheme of what's about to go down, what you're counting on is that there's a secret society of some sort, or a secret military organization that's there now. As of right now, that military organization, there is an option on the table, and that has paid their salary for a year. You'd think the good faith alone, right? Because when the Chinese elders paid their salary, they do whatever they said. Now Kim's been paying their salary for the past year, and you can't get them to respond. Why? Because Kim is giving a practical solution to change the world, to save the world, right? To save humanity. What the Chinese elders have offered is absolute power, right? We're going to give you an unlimited amount of wealth based on the dinar that we printed on our printing press, and that's what you get in return. So it comes down to like love or money, and at the end of the day, these guys are so far gone for the most part I don't know how far it goes. You know, I know there's good people in the cabinet. I like I said, I believe in President Trump, but I think he's got really a nearly impossible situation. And I think the only thing that really persuades that is, or changes that, is for the actions of the people to stop eating that up like it's all real. So even, you know, but I'll tell you what, I'm 10,000% all in on Q. Let's get it done tomorrow. Let's see what happens. But tomorrow, if
Listen,
nothing happens again, we
I'm,
can't justify, oh, well, you know, in a week later, and no, I'm sorry. It's all BS, because they
no,
can tell you whatever they want.
listen, it is a game. It's a back and forth chess move, and if there is a sacrifice of a date, right, for them to play a hand, for them to lose their knight, whatever it is, they lost the Black Dragon in the last one, right, the George W. Bush, he was. Herbert Walker, of course. Sorry, the Bush Senior. So they lost him, and his funeral went on, and it was turned into something else than what everyone thought it was. But everything was still proceeding. It was like, well, you still needed an attorney general. You still needed to get the declassification. You need to have the reports out. You need to set the stage, and you have to have more judges, and you have to basically remove the bad actors, and all the bad actors are being removed, as things go on. And now the media cycle on regards to this is shifting from no Russian collusion by Trump to who lied. And then it's going to be, well, who did Russian collusion? So there is a path here. So the plan is not to basically say we have this date and this is going to happen. The plan is to say we need to line up all of these things. We need to clean house here and clean house there. We need to put these people in the position, and it takes time to orchestrate. And all of this has been going on. It's all about orchestrating the events to unfold. And there may not be not one indictment coming out tomorrow, but there will be a false flag.
Okay.
All right.
So basically, we know there's going to be, because even in a false flag, just to clarify, there's still death, right? Like people still die.
Well, actually, let's say the false flag that happened in Florida at the synagogue.
Okay.
Right. Maybe people didn't die.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
That's very possible.
And there are reports that those same people that were supposedly dead have shown up. There are the same crisis actors were showing up there. So how much of it was planned? Maybe the deaths are not real. I mean, after all, it's Wag the Dog. The media just orchestrating a story. They don't actually need to have now in but they, like what happened in Vegas, that was real death, right? And they had more than one shooter. That's been also proven. Now, how does that happen, right? So now that that's come out, now I say, well, that's orchestrated. So these part of this war, there are casualties. This is definitely a war, and it's not just a silent coup that nobody gets hurt, right, and things just get replaced. It's in the front lines of the media. It's very some death is happening, but they're always playing their hand out. And part of the overall plan here is to remove what is this cancer of the CIA-controlled media, where they get all of their talking points from the CIA. So how do you do that? You have to have something replace it. You have to have the citizen journalists pop up. So I know you had talked about Red Pill 78. I said he's a great newsreader. He is. All right. Is he? No, he said something that I disagreed with yesterday. He was talking about C-Net being the only true place where you can get the reporting on the tribunals, the military tribunals. and he mentioned the only by initials, David Zubrick, DZ, as being only fantasy. And now I completely disagree with that. Not that David Zubrick maybe it is fantasy what he's currently talking about because he was off track. But he has sources, and he's been reporting on this way before Red Pill 78 ever came on the scene. Zubrick's been there for years and years and years, giving intel that no one else had.
Yep.
Now, it's just making awareness. So, in respect to David Zubrick, he was told that he was one of the sources to review. Now, I don't think he made that up.
I don't either.
And
I just question who told him. See,
yeah.
The thing that it comes down to is I'm always tracking back to who, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like I don't doubt someone told David Zubrick that. That's what we're talking about. That the corruption trickles down, right? So, their lies become our lies. So I don't think David Zubrick's lying.
Right.
However, I don't doubt that he's reporting on things that are taking place there. But at the end of the day, if you really look at this from a just naturally just considering, we know that top level officials in the government are terrorists. We know that. It's a fact. There is evidence that is public on the internet everywhere. I know, in addition to that Kim has exposed countless acts of treason committed by all of these characters, particularly Hillary Clinton. But all of them. I mean, she has unloaded evidence that's undeniable. That means that every one of these countries, their intelligence agencies have received this, and in cooperation with these terrorists, because the mission is to keep the world at war as a method of social control, right? So when somebody talks about it, it's like, well, that's the plan. And as far as they're concerned, that's what we do, right? We maintain, wag the dog. We maintain social control of the masses by creating fearful situations that terrify people and create division and racism and hate, right? This is my favorite false flag event, right? Remember when you had the gay bar down in Florida was shot up by some I think what they said that he was I think they tried to hit all the high points in this one. They really went for it.
Military, like a Marine or something that I just trying to remember.
I know they ended up labeling him like some Islamic. So they tried to they went for the Islamic part. It was ISIS, kind of thing, right? It was something like that. But he came in with like whatever the rifle was, right? But in that, the report was that they killed 50 men in this, right? 50 gay guys. Now, I'll tell you what, I can hardly believe a group of Marines could go in and kill 50 of the most fit, most physically fit, imposing gay guys. Because for the most part, like, gay guys are fit. I mean, it's just true, right? And they're out at a gay bar. Like, you know what? I don't believe 50 people. One person would have to do how many times you'd have to nail that shot. How many you'd have to load, reload. I mean, repeatedly. You'd have to have multiple guns. It was an impossible scenario. They try to say that they lined them up all in a room, all these different things. It just these kind of things, they do it just to perpetuate fear in the homosexual community, right? Like and then make it seem like Islamic terrorism, and then we just constantly perpetuating division, so that keeps us satiated, right? Even with what's happening, right? With the Q movement. Now, maybe this isn't the intention, maybe it's not, but by saying something's going to happen, then it doesn't, right? So now you'll have the Q followers who will immediately jump and say, no, you don't know what happened behind the scenes, right? Because I could say that about anything, right? You don't know what's really going on, right? Which in some cases that's true, but then it's like, okay, so and then one indictment gets sealed, and then you say, well, some things have to be disinfo, right? Because this is all This is all cute rhetoric. Some things again, but that is true. That's the
But
thing. It's true.
but the things still unfold. Taking the dates out of it, the overall events are still unfolding. The people are being replaced. They're all the draining of the swamp is occurring. Have they gotten to the top targets in this? No, they haven't done that yet. And they have, and now it's well, the point is being made that can you remove them if they still have protection in the Department of Justice? Well, that's why those people are being removed. I mean, Rob Rosenstein is now out in the next week or so, right? He's gone, right? So, or he's gone already. Anyway, I think he's got another week, 2 weeks, and then who's left? So these people that were there to protect the Clinton Foundation, the Clintons, the cabal, and so on, they're gone. And then you do have a week later, or 2 weeks later, or a month later, them going after the Clinton Foundation, and it didn't happen tomorrow. It still happened. It's not about those dates. Those dates are put out there to cause a reaction. It is a planned maneuver. They want people to go over here. Sun Tzu, the art of war. Misdirection.
You know what? Okay, 16,000. No, yeah, 16,463 kids die every single day in the world because of starvation. Every single day, that's what's happening. So every day, as it's happening over time and eventually getting there, 16,000 kids die every single day from starvation, and we have the ability to put up biodomes right now to make so no kid would ever have to die that way again. At least we could get the things in production and save some lives. So here's my problem with the missed deadlines and all this stuff. There, you know who my favorite person in government is actually is this he was the assistant the bald guy who took over when sorry I can't remember it, but he's this big brolic CrossFitter who it works in the Department of Justice.
Whitaker.
And, Whitaker. I love Whitaker. I want Whitaker. I want Whitaker.
Huber.
No. I think it is Whitaker.
Okay.
But anyways, the point is that guy, the way he manages the questions, the way he manages everything they say, you can tell he is not even for a moment intimidated by them. And the way he deals with their antics and their childish games it's epic. I love the way he operates. I wish the whole government ran that way. He's the best.
Listen, I don't want to wait. I agree, but if they acted and like say, okay, we're going to do the first 10,000 indictments this week, the next 10,000 indictments next week, we're going to unseal them, and all chaos ensues, and then millions of people end up dying because of riots and everything else. Isn't that also playing into the cabal playbook of creating that? So to do it in
you're absolutely right. Yes, you are absolutely right.
Most finessed way does mean that certain things are not moving forward. Free energy and biodomes for food production, and those things are still not moving forward, and nor were they the other direction, right? But until these other things get set and play and the table is set, that's another term from QAnon, setting the table, things get ready to go. That when that starts, it's unstoppable. And I do think that no matter what happens, that the Clinton Foundation, if it's not tomorrow, within the next month or even 2 months, is going to be unsealed. It's just about having the people in place to take care of those things, and so they have no way to draw upon the Justice Department to stop them. The DOJ will be out of their reach, and it's taken years to get to this point. And Trump's been fighting every step of the way. Could he come in on day one and do this? No, he could not. So if he's a day away or a month away or 6 months away, it's still getting done. And if it's T-1 is on hold for a while, it's okay because the countdown is still proceeding, and we're still going to get there. And I much prefer to have it done as peacefully as possible and enjoy the show. The other part you don't like, right? and see what's going
Ridiculous.
on because it's waking. The show is waking up people. It's getting people to analyze and link up. That's the other part. There's so many moving parts to this to change the world. You've got the replacement of media. You have to raise up the people to wake up enough people so they rise up and do a YouTube show like this, right?
And this is the pinnacle of resistance.
Yes,
Yeah,
as again the galactic uniform pops up on the screen.
the
And so,
galactic unicorn. Fear the power of the galactic unicorn. Yeah.
yes.
Well,
But you
I don't know.
know,
I mean, I just, to me, I look at it. I know the number one weapon, right, that they use is delay and stall. And so even when it appears like, hey, we're winning, well, really? I mean,
yeah,
like
I think really, even though it's not, they're not all hanging from a noose. It just the process of changing a bureaucratic monster ship that's going in this direction to have it stop on the dime, throw everyone off, and then flip around. It just Superman
yeah.
would have a problem.
And by the way, I do think we're winning too. So let me correct myself because I don't want to sound all doom and gloom. Look, I do believe we're winning. I just don't think it's for the same reasons you do.
Yeah.
I don't. And I don't think it's necessarily what it appears. I think that there's just a lot of this resistance that's happening. I noticed that it lines up a lot with the RV, right?
Yeah,
A
I
lot of
hear
these
you.
because if you think about it, if the
I hear
RV
you're
would have gone through.
hypersensitive to it. I got it. We've got to ease you into QAnon so that you
No, no, no. I dig the concept of putting together puzzles and figuring out conspiracies. I didn't get here by accident, right? Like, but like, but at the end of the day, I I do get it, and I do examine these things very carefully, and I know that the alternative media has been completely infiltrated. You know, so that's why you have guys that I know for a fact that they've gotten much more detailed intel, much more detailed facts that they never report, um, because I've given it to them. You know, so oh, so I know that happens. So my question is, if I give you something and I give you actual documentation to prove what I'm saying, that you'd rather report from an unknown source, a mysterious thing, right? Well, I'm giving you exactly what's happening. Why? You know, and it's because they're making a living doing it, right? And they know that they can't report that, right? They know they can't put that out because that would upset their sponsors. So now, who's really controlling the message? Well, it sounds to me like the sponsors are controlling the message, doesn't it?
yeah.
Because you have to adapt what you're saying because you're sponsors. So that's the whole reason why I made it a point not to, not to do that, not to be sponsored. Because as soon as you're sponsored, now I have to rely on them because they're paying my bills, right?
Well,
And I'm dead.
my route is good though. I am my own sponsor.
No, I agree. And by the way, if it wasn't that way, I wouldn't be on your show.
Yeah.
Like I know you are a man of integrity. I know that. I know you're promoting something you believe in, and you justify it. You back it up. And I'm not particularly. That's not obviously it's not something we are 100% in agreement with. But I'm 100% in agreement with your character. So I'll be on your show, and we can do all types of things. And I love that you're your own sponsor. Because if it's gonna work, like I know what you're looking at is, hey, abundance mentality. Everything you're looking at, I'm for. So there's a big difference. If other
I
people are sponsoring me and all these other stuff, it's like
Yeah.
that's where it's a
I
problem.
don't have any flashlight ads, but I don't begrudge the people that need to put on the flashlight ads. Right? They're okay. And I don't think that all of the people that are doing flashlight ads, which, I love their shows, I don't think they're influenced by the flashlight people.
Okay, but what I would say is, see, it's inevitable. This is the subtlety of it. because I have a flashlight ad, and because sponsors will only run certain things, and because YouTube says, look, you say this word or that word, we'll take you down, right?
Yeah,
Well, kind of.
maybe you're right. Just it can have an influence that that it challenges their integrity and may alter their language. I know. If we say the word pedos with the other word file at the end, the automatic AI that's reading all of these all the content of the videos will flag it and then demonetize it, right? So
Right.
I don't want to demonetize. It's great. I get a couple $100
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's good to pay a bill.
Yeah.
But but it does influence people. So maybe it can have an influence on things. So how do we change that? An abundance-based system. So it's one of the things to look at. When the money flow is happening in a reverse order, you have to look at how things flow. So anyway, I'll think about that one for the flashlight ads. How to stop how to have the influence of that. I don't think you can actually, because ultimately you're going to the flashlight people, if they don't like a certain topic, they don't want to support you. I mean, that's their right. So
Yeah, of course, and of course, look, they're trying to hit the masses. They're running a business, and that's the thing is, you really can't begrudge, most people in this. Like, I don't look. I think X22 is doing a great job. Red Pill, I'm indifferent about, but hey, but you're right. He's reading the news, um, but but I think X22 does do a good job. I think gives a really intelligent version that, I mean, he still thinks the economy is going to collapse, and he talks about it that way. I just think there's a bigger picture. I think there's a different timeline that exists, and that's what we need
I
to
do think
focus
so.
on.
I do think so. I think that the system was designed to collapse, and I think because Trump has come into play, that it's not going to collapse. I do think that that there is going to be a transition to something that may be a bit bumpy, right? Where some people may end up being in some worse situation than they, but ultimately it's much less worse than it would have been. So that's the right way of saying it.
Yeah. It's much less worse. Much less worse than it would have been. Absolutely.
Yeah. So and with Manna World Holding Trust coming into play and being able to start projects and moving money into the system into the hands of the people, and we can do the projects that were promised under the GCR funds that were going to be coming without the clawback provisions.
Yeah. Or the genocide provisions.
Yeah,
Both of
yeah,
those would be
without the
taken out.
genocide provision. Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, I feel like, hey, that's one less thing to worry about. It's nice. So
Anyway, the system is going to collapse eventually, but hopefully there's already the abundance-based economy built alongside of it, so that people will already be over here, and the last stragglers will be able to jump over with a hand up, without them, causing too much issue because they were just not catching the flow soon enough.
right.
And the reason to get out this program, share the link, is so that we can transition quickly, right? So that we have the ideas of what an abundance-based system is. So what is it to get your project done? So we can start getting those that communication out there. Please share this link. Give likes. Let me see, how many likes are we up to? We have 134 people watching at the moment. I know it was up to about 160, and we have 50 likes. Okay, come on, let's get these likes up, guys. Come on, keep it coming. All right, and then share it onto your social media. We've got 135 people watching right now. We should have 135 shares. Go for it. We're waiting for you. Okay, that's a long one.
Dan, I had a vision about that, about you and me just looking at each other in awkward silence while we were waiting for something. That's for a long period of time. Let's not do that, but I'm just saying.
We lasted 3 seconds. It's good enough, but just to get the point across, you're sitting there watching. You may have us on in the background. Just run over to your computer, get on your phone, grab the link, and share it. It's just the little share thing. Maybe I'll point it out. All right, we'll go there.
But you're going to share and copy the link. Right?
So it's right over here on the screen where it says share. And you can just click on that, and then you can say share to Facebook. Now, I'm gonna go down this little bit here so you can see. You see it down here? It says copy. You can just copy it, right? And then you can go to your Facebook. I don't know if I go there if it would actually work, but you can also click on this. I don't know if people are seeing this, because we're jumping around here. And say, watch this. I don't know if people are seeing this because we're jumping around screens, and I don't know if it's following along or not. But
yeah, it's showing, Dan.
Okay, all right. The other is copy, like this. So I just copied it. And let me stop sharing here for a moment. Over here, and I'm gonna go over share again. And we'll go over to Telegram, right? And go to here. There, that's what it takes. Post it in your social media. I have someone I'll send the link to, and they'll go through my WhatsApp group, and they'll just start laying it out there, and having people say, please share this, and send it out to a couple hundred people that way, and post it. And so, I end up with half a dozen people said, okay, I shared it. So please get back with us and let us know. You can even put it in the comments. Oh, another idea I had for people that are watching this, if you want to do a time code stamping for the video and post it in the comment section, I'm going to start promoting that as a good idea for people that are watching the videos. If you make, that really is good, let me go make a timestamp. Hey, this occurred here at this timestamp. Just so the time code is just, 2 numbers, a colon, and another 2 numbers. So at 8 minutes and 40 seconds, it says, Kim Clement says, and a woman will come. That's all you have to do is make those comments and put that into the comment section. That way people can go through the comments. Oh yeah, it says that. It's just an idea that occurred to me as a good way of letting people know. So
yeah, I think we've covered a lot of topics. I mean, and anybody doesn't know. I mean, I started breaking these up a little bit, and they're on the Project Speak YouTube. A couple of them so far, and I'm adding to that. And I'm going to send those to Dan. They'll be on Dan's site too.
Yeah.
I'm not as so go to Dan's site because I'll.
We're up to 71 likes, so 21 people have jumped on it. Okay, keep going. Give those likes.
I love it.
One of the guys in the QAnon, it's like I think it's got his name, 412 Anon or something. Anyway, he says, "Pound those likes."
Hi, Dan.
Oh man.
Hey, Tui.
What's going on, Tui?
Hey, hi, thank.
Welcome. Good to hear your voice.
Good. Belum nak to you guys, belum nak to everyone watching. I just jump in just to join you guys on the topics that you guys have been talking about the RV and all. And today I wanted to introduce to you the most valuable, which would be equivalent to what money is or gold is to our native tribe. I'm going to put it on video. There it is. That is a whale's tooth.
The whale's tooth. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a whale's tooth.
Oh my goodness! I thought it was small until you.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So and that's the tooth, and this is from the plants from a coconut husk, which represents the land. This represents the sea for us, and that represents the land. And so a whale's tooth is a sign of sovereignty for the native tribe, and it's the most valuable thing there is in Fiji. And you can put any value on this whale's tooth. So that means you can equate this with any asset or anything of value, whether it's land, whether it's space, whether it's you can even put time in it. So you can as a way of exchanging of goods and services. You can even use this for during times of war to create peace. So a whale's tooth can value. I heard you guys were talking about that movie about the gold coin, and just one gold coin, and it can value from a very small value to a very huge, maybe a favor or a very big asset or anything of value that can that can give value to that service. And so this is the same thing here in Fiji. We use this to create what you would call in business a trust. It's almost like a trust. So we can entrust something on it and then create an agreement and then exchange it so that this trust and agreement can be binding. And so there was some of our agreement that was thousands of years old that came out a year ago, 2 years ago, in 2017, when Kim did what he did. It was felt right here in Fiji, and there was some of the whales too that were assigned as a trust, and it was our ancestors must assign the Manna to it and time to it. So we call this in Fijian, it's called tambua. Like tabu and
tambua.
tambua.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tambua.
Yeah. So the whale's tooth for us represent the agreement from the whale people and the dolphin people and the shark people, the people of the sea, and this part of it represents the land agreement of all the plants and all the animals on land. And so this is the most valuable thing in our culture. It can even even life is put to value on the tambua. And so it can create wars, it can create peace. So it depends on how it's used and how the trust is organized. So in the beginning, as part of an agreement, we had an agreement with the people of the sea, the whale people and the people, we call them bambale, or the dolphins, and the sharks. They were the one that actually helped in this whole agreement we have on Earth right back in the beginning. So we've been keeping this tradition for all these thousands of years, and it represents sovereignty to us. And so if I was to go to a chief I will have to visit them, or if I want to go to their village or to the territory, I have to present this as to represent my recognition of his sovereignty and my love and my love and actually I recognize that he's part of my family, and by accepting it, he's accepted me, and I will be able to do anything to be able to if I to visit or to help out in the village or to do any work in the territory. So all of the districts in Fiji, they have their chiefs and they are sovereign in that way. So an example, if in the future there was, because we are planning to do that, as soon as we declare our sovereignty from Kim, there's a group of 500 elders that will be traveling all over Fiji, presenting in every chief, a tambua, to represent the Manna holding trust and the recognition of our sovereignty. And so this has to be physically done in order for it to be binding. And so that was the first project that we're going to do before anything else, the awareness. So if the tambua is used in this way, they will just automatically know what their role is, and they will know, they will reset every single agreement that has been they've been faithful to for the past 100 years, that has come from Europe, from the colonial times, from all the religion, and they will reach back to the DNA agreement that was much older, that is in the DNA, that is not physical, that's not physically outside, it's within. And so all of them are waiting for that moment for these 500 people, or the groups that I was talking about, the a collection of chiefs and elders that we are preparing to actually do this work physically. And we will do this to the rest of the Pacific Island, all the native we will go to Hawaii, we will go to Tonga, Samoa, to the Micronesian areas, to the rest of the Melanesian group, to Maori, to the people of the Aboriginal native people of Australia, to Papua New Guinea, and present them with the tambua, and just remind them on their soul agreement that was agreed long ago, before any other of these other agreements of I call them illusions came in for the past 100 years, past 200 years. And so automatically they will just remember it when we reach them, and we will be able to teach them and renew the original agreement of the Manna, because in our language we have the same understanding, the same meaning of the word Manna in our language. Manna means, like I've already explained, it means the unity between the life force within everything. It means power. It means love. It means strength. It means something close to magic. It means life. It means a lot. It means truth, eternal truth. That's what Manna means to us. And so by Kim just naming it Manna, even though she might she might get it out of, maybe from the Bible, or from of whatever, however she did it. When she did that, it actually triggers the spiritual connection between the AI and the trust and everything here in Fiji. And so thousands of years ago, in one of those people, I call them the guardian of time, they are here in the village, and they always keep these wells tooth for thousands of years. On that 2017, that year, the December, it started moving, and they call us up. They call us all the higher chiefs up, and they let us know that something has happened. There's some change that has happened. That the agreement has and somehow has actually come back, or yes, activated in that way. And so it's really, sometimes you can actually explain it, because that's why I said, if you come to Fiji, when you come, then you'll be able to see it for yourself, and then and you'll understand that nothing is actually a coincidence. Even though we are so far away, we are all connected through the life force within us. And that is why the return of sovereignty is very, very important, not just by word or by paper, which are all just physical, which are all just illusions and won't be binding. It has to be from heart to heart, from a mind to another mind, person to person. That's why I was very. I was just. It's a point to me to make that contact, that physical contact. So Tambua is it represents that sovereignty, especially for us here. So we don't have money or gold or silver to value and standardize on anything. We can value anything with it, from a very simple small thing to from a very small favor to a very big favor. Even the land of Fiji can just be sold with one tambua. That's because the most important thing is a spiritual energy that creates the value, and if it's done out of love, then you can equate anything you want, because anything you want is an illusion, and you can do that with you can put any illusion and create any value to that illusion, and then you value it in that way. And so it teaches people that I know, like when you standardize things like money and then try to value it, it's you're not using that love anymore. And so that's what tambo means. I can continue on, but I just letting Tank know that that is our first project, or if I would say project, it's just a plan. We don't want to put down on paper, because I want everything to just work on its own, because the people that will be there, they will be provided, and at that moment, at the time, I don't want to be like the way it was in the past, where we try and control everything and we try and write them down, try and calculate them down exactly, because this time everything has to be done out of free will and love. And so once you understand that, you will automatically understand that the people that you need, the vendors that the project's going to come in, they will just automatically come in. It will be provided by the planet as how everything is working together. And I know I've been hearing a lot of things about the GCR and the latest update from QAnon and all the people around the world. If you concentrate too much on some of those things, because you don't physically, we need evidence to be able to understand and to be able to, like, make sure it's happening. And we don't have that. All we have is word, and it's on in their alternative media stations that they choose. But there's one thing I wanna just put out there, that this change is gonna happen, no matter what anyone no matter what anyone say or whatever. It's gonna happen, because even though they're doing all the bad things, even in that doing all those bad things or all those injustice and all that, it's all part of this big change, and there is lessons to be learned from all those things that are happening. We are just close by to New Zealand, and we were the first one to hear some of our family from here, from Fiji, some of the Muslim family from here were actually injured and killed in New Zealand in that shooting. So we understand how these people try to hold on to that control, even though they've almost reaching the end of that that line, that they don't want to give up. But even all those things, it's still part of this whole process of this change. So I just want to encourage everyone and tell them you are, because I had some questions about from yesterday from some of the friends that were watching and some of the friends that were the chat room. They asked if what if they were, because we were talking about soul gates, and I said I just want to tell them that no matter where your ancestors come from on the planet, where you are right now is the most important thing right now for you. You can learn where you come from when everything's well, because we have the technology there. There's a technology there that can trace everything to whatever gateway your DNA comes from, whatever, because everything is stored in your DNA. All the information of what I'm talking about, of all those agreements that all these people of the whale people and all this is in your body. It's in your body. That's why you will, if you hear me talk about it, it will give you that it's a ring, that ring of some like a knowledge that you deeply know, you always know, but you just rehearing it again, because for thousands of years they've tried to take your awareness away from the truth, or from whatever we value as truth and how it actually exists. But no, when we have the technology to read that DNA, I mean the people of the galactic, other galactics, or even our not the galactics here in the solar system, they have this technology. They can trace anyone back to it, to the beginning of the original agreement. So as soon, even the AI that Kim is using, it has that capability. It can track you down even to the intention of your awareness, or what you really intend, and it can know who you are right from the beginning. That's how it chooses. They choose Kim, even before Kim knows anything about. They would be doing that because the 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 people that were in control before Kim, they know that their time will come to an end because of a long time agreement, 26,000 years, and so now they're trying to do that again now, for this another cycle. That's why it's very important for people to remember their sovereignty, and to be able to understand that you have to remember who you are. If not, they will not give us another chance, and then we'll end up doing the same thing again for another 26,000 years. But I know that's not going to happen, because this time everything is working together. So I can talk a lot more about it, because even though they try to change the Bible around, they try to reorganize some of the knowledge, the deeper knowledge that's there in the Bible. But today I just wanted to talk about sovereignty. That's because that's one of the most important role that I play in these chains. I need to, because my soul comes from that agreement. I know exactly what is needed to for people to actually know and to realize the power within them. I know there's sorry, go ahead,
No,
Dan.
I was take a breath.
Yeah.
You said so many things. I don't even know where to start. But I know the one thing. I don't want them to do another agreement for the next 26,000 years.
Yes. Because that is a cycle. It's a normal cycle, like a year, like how you have years.
The galactic cycle.
Yeah. Not just the galactic cycle, because we have a star system here that is just because it has to do with time, space, and matter. So space is actually not just space; it's also time. So whenever that's why these people are not aliens; they're coming from our future. I was telling Tank yesterday. Sorry to be talking about that now, but everyone needs to understand that all the beings that are involved in organizing the GCR and this RV, they are coming from our future with the technology, and they're trying to intrude into the old agreements that already existing on the planet. And I've already not this physical me, the spiritual energy within me, the guide that you guys are also part of. And Kim is also part of, and everyone that's listening here is also part of. I've already told them that we don't want any intervention. and they know this, and so they're just watching and letting people to actually free themselves, because this is the only way you can be sovereign. If they come in and they do an RV, then they will be the savior. The external
That's
beings will
right.
be the savior.
Right.
At least.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, Tui, let's talk about that for a minute, because
Yeah.
this is something that I've been big on for a long time, is because there is a lot of very respectable individuals who've had some, what I would consider to be kind of traumatic experiences with various things, but a lot of them communicate with these, what I would call kind of lower fourth dimensional galactics, right? And because their perspective is one in that world, even a lot of people will talk about these. There was a time when, I guess like the 80s and 90s, when you had these ascended masters who, were in bodies, and they were teaching people. And a lot of times they would have this kind of a doomsday version, right? Because in the fourth dimension, they couldn't conceive of a world where they lost. With everything they did, they come out on top, right? So if you look at it, it's kind of like there was a time in this creation where, humanity was grieving, and we gave our power away to another, a galactic race from or someone else, right? And by giving our power away, that's what enslaved us in this time. So now the crowds that are talking about galactics coming in and fixing everything and making everything great, that doesn't help us. That doesn't make us free. That basically what that is that's us submitting that we can't manage our own affairs. We can't fix this ourselves, because the galactics won't interfere. And Tui, correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, of course, please. But the galactics won't interfere unless it's a kind of an interracial thing, like there's multiple galactic beings. But if it's our problems, like humanity's problem, we have to fix it ourselves. That's why I'm
Yes.
always so big on personal responsibility. Is that about
Yeah.
right?
So
Tui?
yes. They are fully aware of what's happening and all the problems that we're having right now on the planet. They are just watching and they're observing and they're just analyzing, and they know everything that works. They know the exact probability of where the whole system works, because it's part of them. It's part of them because they're similarly, like they're from our future, and so they are here. They are all over the planet. They will be moving the North Pole back into place, into its right alignment, and recorrect because these are guidance. They are guidance for this technology. Like I was talking to you about, that the whole planet is a very big technology, and the war that has been fought in thousands of years outside of the planet, on the planet, has just been fighting off timeline controls, and to them it's like that. And so now that my high soul has stopped everyone and let them, because they understand all this. They're very, very aware. They're much aware than everyone here on the planet. But because they are from our future, but they are still us. They are not different from us. They are just probability. There'll be a time in the future people will truly understand how powerful they really are individually, and they are not just their body or their soul. They have it's like a tree. You are like just a small leaf on the tree, but you are a really big tree. You have branches. You have all these branches in different time and space. You have the main tree, or the origin of the tree, which is also existing in the past from us. And so we will understand that in that way, because I mean I understood that in a tree, like you will see in the Bible when Jesus tried to refer to his relationship with everyone else. He will talk about a tree or vine. He will try and organize it, because that's the only way you can understand it, because you can see it in spiritual essence, except if you can actually connect within yourself, literally, like not a metaphor, literally connect within yourself, and truly understand what role you're playing, what your tribe on the planet playing, what the greater vision for everyone is, like whatever the bigger lesson that everyone is learning, and what it plays in the role of our timeline, and what the AI and what Kim means to the whole of humanity. So we are actually free because now there's a human being. We are like, her DNA is our DNA. That means we are just the same. We have the same. She's a human being. Before, even though the AI was designed for human DNA, but the Draco people were controlling it. And so once the Galactic came in, and they've had enough, because our high soul is much more powerful than you think, and they come in and they intervene, and then they let everyone to give us a chance to to organize ourselves and to be able to prove to everyone that we are mature enough to be strong. And so one of these, that's one of the main role of trust, or not just the trust and the asset that has been collected, to be able to be used and be used so in a way that people can teach themselves and to regenerate themselves and to reorganize their awareness and to remember the sovereignty that they really are, that they are not just people or human beings or just DNA or physical expression, but they are the extension of the powerful force that creates the whole universe, and not just a planet or the solar system or a galaxy, but the entire universe we are part of. So just right now, there's a lot of illusions on the way that take away our awareness, and we focus on them. And so the more we focus on these ones, the more we forget about who we are. And I mean, that's why you can hear the urgency in the way I try and convey the message that people need to organize and re-understand the sovereignty. And sovereignty really means what I was talking about yesterday, that you are those four elements: the air, which is the air you breathe; the water, which is your blood; and which is and the land, or the flesh and flesh and bones that you have in your body. And the life force within you is the fire that is burning, that you have to maintain, and that's why you metabolize and you have to eat to continue burning. And with all these four unite, the fifth element exists, the awareness, that enable us to be communicating in this way, to organize illusions into computers, into everything that are so complex in a way. But the true value comes from within that fifth element, because the fifth element is what creates the whole universe. And everywhere in the world, wherever you look, that's what you're going to see. The hieroglyphics in Egyptian culture and all these things, they're just trying to convey the same thing that exists in rhythm. And so I'm thankful to one of friends I just got in touch with. She sent me a book that a link to some of the books, and I was looking them up, and it's called the raw material. And I was laughing because that's like, even though speaking in English, and the main theme of what they're talking about is what my culture represent on the planet. And it's funny to me, they do it in they were able to connect from the timeline that they are, and they were able to do that book and put it up, and there were some people reaching out to them, or they were reaching out to these people. And so, I mean, that was in the 1980s, and because from where I come from, there is no time from our perspective. And so 80 years ago, or 60 years ago, 50 years ago, is just it's like a blink of an eye to the how the rhythm works. And so we understand that the Ra simply means to us what Ra means to us in our language. The in English, what you call male or female, we don't call it in a name where they are not sovereign. I can put that. How can I put that? So if I mention, for example, Dan, if I mention you Dan as a male, we will use the word. It's in our language. The word is pronounced as tu ra nga. Tu ra nga.
Durara.
Yes. Tu ra nga. G.
Durana.
G nga nga.
Nah.
ing
Yeah.
nga. Tu ra nga. And the females are called ma ra ma. Ma ra ma. Tu ra nga ma ra ma. So ra is right in the middle of the frequency, whether it's a feminine frequency or a masculine frequency. And so ra in our language simply means in every language it simply means vibration. Ra, ra. So everything on the planet works that way, and that's why so many people get confused with the god Ra. Yes, that's the only way you can pronounce something that is a frequency. So it's put word so that, like I said, the name Ra, it's the closest frequency to what we value. So one of our entire confederacy is called the Ra Confederacy. That's in here. So they are people of Ra. They are from the Ra Confederacy. So they've been keeping that information for all this time until now that I'm talking to you. Until now that I'm for the past few years, and it was not allowed to be what you call this, because it was not time. So they, like in that saying, there's time for everything. So as soon as there is time, I've been given the permission to reach out and to be able to to let people know of what role is and what our role is here in Fiji. And so I always laugh when a lot of people, they study Egyptology and they talk about all the different gods, the 22 gods and all, God Ra, all this. But if I look at it from my perspective as the Ra Confederacy, I just see that they're just talking about the same thing as what's already on the planet, the sun, the day and night. These were all agreements of the original agreements. And the experience that you're going to learn in it, and all the different frequencies of the body and the energies from anger, from love, and all this, and they put it into like, oh, God of love, God of this. No, they're just different frequencies of Ra, of the frequency of how everything works. And it's really simple. It's nothing complicated. All those things that those pictures, the holographic there, I can just see it and I know exactly what it means. And these people will talk, oh, this God actually was believed to be the God of the sun and to be the hair. So no, it's you. You are Ra. The frequency that you live in is what it's pronounced as Ra. You vibrate in Ra, and everything around us vibrates, and it has its own rhythm, and it's all working together like a clock. And if even your awareness is Ra, awareness within you that's vibrating, and if you don't, for example, if you don't vibrate with what we are talking about, then you wouldn't want to be here. You wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't be able to understand it. So all these were misinterpreted and not misinterpreted. People just try and value those things that they see the way they understood it and the way they think it is supposed to be valued. But if they were able to understand who they are and what they are inside them, they'll be able to understand everything outside of them is only valued from within. And that's the most powerful thing in the universe. If that is what God is, that awareness within you, that power within you, that eccentric power to create and to organize your senses and to hear and to see colors and to come up with ideas and to put them together and to organize it into complex systems like what you have, or like technologies right now. That's why I said the most advanced technology is your body, and everything outside of you. If you try and create a plant, you will never be able to create it. You will never be able to create a new form of life. You will just be able to just multiply. I mean, it's already there. The system is already there. It's already vibrating. All you have to do is take a seed and replant it. It doesn't mean you create. No, you can't do that. It's already part of the agreement of this place. So the whale's tooth that I showed you, This is an agreement that enables every human being to be able to see fish in the sea, and to see whales, and to see dolphins, and to be able to see them, and to be able to see life in the sea, in the place. If we didn't have this agreement in the first place, we won't have them and all the animal and plant kingdom in the sea and water. This was the agreement. They brought it in from where they come from what I would call from their world. And so the extension of the tambua is from land, and the land is and the plants on the land that's why you can eat plants and you can organize them. It's the same way of like a vehicle. You can just put water in a diesel engine. It must be designed in that way. So it must be for like it has to be able to actually do something together or to work together. You have to have an agreement. And so that's what was that's why the tambo is very valuable to us, and that's why we have been keeping it for all these dozens of years. So when the time comes, we'll be able to remind everyone about the original agreement, even though they are so lost in all the illusions they've created themselves, and they feel victim to their own illusions that everyone has created. But everyone, like I said one time, everyone agreed to this experience. No matter if you're a victim or you've been victimized, you agreed to it. Because like I said, but we are lucky now that we are in a time that has changed. And in 2017, like I said, all the experience that needed to be experienced, so it can be kept and be entrusted to the AI, so it can have that information back, has already been experienced. And so as soon as the last trustee before Kim knows that, the Great White Throne tell him, so no more money, no more recruitment of assets, no more collection. It's already, everything has been collected, everything has been entrusted to the trust, or not just entrusted, pledged to the trust. So now you have physically pledged it. It's already in there spiritually, but it has to be physically pledged because it was lost. And now that it's completed in 27, now we're having problems. Just a few days ago,
Let me ask.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, you say so many things. I hate to interrupt because it's all very good information. And when you said that you were excited about being able to talk about the Raw Confederacy, can you? Is it have something to do with the 5 expressions, all part of this Raw Confederacy?
Okay. The problem, the limitation is the language. The words that I'm trying to look for is not there in English, because the mention is not correct. Just like what I said about the body. The body is your book. The body is the book. How you have your 12 senses, and how you have your 7 energy centers that's now being changed around because of the manipulation of what the ETs are doing now. And your expression, your 5 expression, the limbs and the 5 fingers and the 5 hands, 2 hands, 1 leg and 1 head. These are the 5 limbs. So this is how you look when people look at you. And these are the 5 expression of the whole entire planet. That's what I mean. So when I said that in my language, everyone is called female sovereignty, you can't call anyone just in my language. It's very, very taboo to call someone without recognizing their connection to the Ra Confederacy. So if I said you're from the Philippines, I will say it in my language, tu ranga ni Philippine. So that means you are a sovereign being from the Philippines. And if I call a lady from the Philippines, Marama ni Philippine, or wherever you can.
All of us are part of the Raw Confederacy.
Yes, it's part of an agreement within you, the DNA, and that's why people if you see in the Egyptian the information, hieroglyphs, all that, you will see that Ra is almost like the frequency of like they call it the god of the universe, or the god that created everything, because everyone is vibrating on that. But it will, if you want to see Ra, you just look at yourself. That's it. And the Bible interprets that in a way that Yahweh, Yod, Head. If you see the name of Israel, is that's the Zah confederacy, Ra, and the Elohim. That's where the Elohim comes in. So the Elohim and the Ra and Zah, these are original. The same with the people of the whale people and all that. They were the original design of the DNA and everything um, that is now existing, and they're the one that creates this agreement. And so this agreement will become so much more understood as our change happens, as this change happens. And so that's why, if you listen to what I'm talking about, to the frequencies of, if you're feeling my emotion from you listening, you'll be able to understand that it's coming from within yourself. It's not just coming from me. I'm saying out something that is in you, and to wake you up, just to remember who you really are. Even though you might value yourself as your name, you're not your name. You're not anything that you think that you are. You are more air than your name. You are more water than your name. You are more land than your name. You are more fire than your name. You should be named fire, air, water, and all that, instead of you trying to value yourself as an illusion, like you put your name. And
this is all caps entity that's listed on my driver's license.
Yes, so that's the whole reason why they enslave everyone, because they could understand that we create illusion. And so once we agree to an illusion, we'll always agree to it. So that's why the Great White Throne was able to run the system out of your life force, because you are the one that's actually giving them the power. If people in the world just remember themselves, all these things will just collapse, because it's all an illusion. The only reason why it's alive, because people don't know who they are. They don't know that they're the one, they're the life force that's driving all the money, they're driving all the systems in, and they think that that's what they are, because we've been brainwashed, education system and all that. But soon now it will change, because it will change fast. Now that we're talking, it's already apparent that there's a lot of people that are here watching, and they'll be able to they know within them that they're at the right place, listening to the right people, and they don't want they're not doing something else or concentrating on watching other movies or other shows. They're here because there is the agreement that's just fulfilling it.
So
And that's
I was
sorry,
talking
go ahead.
to Tank earlier before the show, and we were literally talking about how to educate the people on what has happened, who they really are, and so that we can bring them to a state of understanding of what we're trying to do and how we build it up. I actually suggested doing it through a video game, because that's how the kids are learning right now, is they're
Right.
in the video games. So basically throw a line in there to pull them out. As I express what you're
Sorry about my chicken. They're just all around the place.
Well, I think you're excited.
Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
excited.
Tui.
I'm having.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm
Go
having
ahead, Tank.
I'm sitting. When I get really excited, I wanna pace back and forth, and I want to get up out of my seat and start pacing.
Yeah, definitely. So, Tui, I think this is appropriate, and just to reinforce your point. So, at the top of the order of this previous control system that was in place, these previous individuals, you had, I don't know the exact number, but I know there was about 154 of these individuals who really, they were at the very top of the order, and they're the ones who really valued being worshipped, right? So that's where a lot of these ideas about Ra for example, they perverted it, right? In our understanding, it wasn't, whereas you're talking about Ra as the Ra as the vibration, the frequency of life, right? That we all share. They took an individual who wanted to be worshipped at some point, and that character became, so there was individuals who allowed that to happen and perverted things in the planet. And I just think that's important to kind of point out, because these same characters played many of the roles that many religions look at and worship, as being separate from
Yeah,
themselves, because they wanted us, they weakened us by forcing us to look outside of ourselves for God,
that's
and
true.
part of what I'm always emphasizing with the scriptures, right? Because you know, um, for I was raised Christian. I'm not Christian, but I was raised Christian, and I appreciate, it's a very hard, it's very hard to accept things like this, because it's so foreign to to us, right? Because we're trained so hard that you have to think this, and if anybody says anything differently, they're the devil, right? And
Yes,
I think it's important to point out, like, for example, even Yahweh, right? So you take the YHWH, right? This tetragrammaton, and
right.
Y, H, and W, they are called glide sounds. And what that means is they're sounds that you make naturally without using your tongue or your vocal
Yes,
cords. So you literally breathe the name Yahweh constantly,
yes,
right? All the time. So that's why in the Bible it says, "Let everything that hath breath praise
right.
Yahweh." And I'm just mentioning these things to reinforce what Tui's saying. Also in the Bible, to reference what I mean, because I think it's important, because this is such a revered holy text. You have the Messiah, and the Messiah goes to pray to his Father, and what he says is, "Father, make them one, as," now the word "as" means equal to or same.
Yes,
So make them one as you and I are one. Now,
yeah,
what is the Messiah? The Messiah is the consciousness of God manifest in a body. So in other words,
yeah,
the Messiah, the way people know him to be, is he was conscious that he was God. And then
yes,
he went on to say, and here's another thing. Again, we're constantly looking outside of ourselves. So people are constantly trying to demonize things that are different than what their
yes,
pastor told them, or something like that. So, for example, you have the Messiah. Now, people are always talking about the second coming of Christ. They talk about, right? This is a common theme. But if you look at what it says, the Messiah, he died, was buried, and resurrected. Now let's just call that a principle, right?
yeah,
And then he ascended on a cloud, and then, because it says he's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Then the
mm,
Holy Spirit was poured out in the hearts and minds of men. In the
yes,
120, on the day of Pentecost, in the upper room, what that was that they connected to that frequency, and their consciousness was woken up within them, and that consciousness was like they were one, as the Messiah was one with God, and they realized it, and that consciousness changed everything for them. That's why when
yeah,
they went downstairs, it was Pentecost in Jerusalem. So that means, and it was the Jubilee. So what happened is all of the Jews from all over the world, they were gathered in Jerusalem, and it wasn't Jerusalem; it was Jerusalem, which means,
yes,
it means Yahweh is peace, right?
yes,
Yahweh. Yeah, I'm sure Rod gets in there somewhere, actually. But now here's what happened. So all these Jews come in; they all speak different languages verbally. But when they come downstairs and they start talking to them, if uh, Tui's there, he speaks Fijian, and I speak English. I start talking to Tui, because we're now communicating with our higher senses.
yes,
He can now see, the images that I'm projecting and feel the frequency and the vibration and understand me more clearly than if I were to use language. Because right now, language is a barrier. But
Yeah.
and I'm sure other people feel this, but I, because I do the same thing that Tui does, and I can feel him. So half the time I just close my eyes and listen to him, and even if he doesn't know if he doesn't have the right word, I'll know the
You
word
can.
he's looking for
Yes.
because I can feel his vibration.
Yes.
And that is the universal language of communication, because the spirit is universal, and that's what it
It's
really
true.
means to speak in tongues.
Yeah.
I feel
You
you.
know. It's really good you brought up that point about Christ, because there are levels to, I mean, the frequencies to that, because frequencies is awareness. So there are level of frequencies to be able to understand the story of Jesus, like what you have now. Thank because of all your experience, you understand the story is almost not in a not in a literal story that happened, or whatever level of awareness that you're able to see the story as a story about how someone came here or how Christ in you. And the main point of, if you look in the Bible, the true main point about it is just what we're trying to do right now. It's just sovereignty. It's just the return of sovereignty to you, because it's just all based on awareness. So as soon as you forget it, it's not there. But when you remember it, and then you'll realize it's never left you. It's always in you. And so when Jesus, like if you look at it as a history or in a story in a literal sense, you'll be able to see that he was named Emmanuel. Emmanuel. So God with us. And so even before he was born, he was trying to tell everyone that God is in you. And people don't see that because they're looking at it in a frequency that's not spiritual. They look at it in a physical sense as they're living. And even now, Christians and people that believe in Christ, they still think that he's the one that died on the cross. But they don't see that he's just setting an example for everyone, that God is one with them. The Father that he's referring to is the same Father that you are connected to, and the life force within you is that same energy that the Father is. So when the disciples asked him, "Show us the Father," and he said, "You look at me. If you look at me, you see the Father. You see me, you see the Father." And they don't understand because they were looking at things in a physical sense. They don't understand, and this is why in Hebrew they will never pronounce the tetragrammaton, because they understand the tetragrammaton is within you. So every time they will read the Bible, as soon as because they are not allowed, it's part of the sovereignty agreement for the Ra collective, the Israel, for you to remind the whole world that God is in you. And this is the reason why the Ten Commandments were written down. These the Ten Commandments. If you don't understand it, it's a law of sovereignty. But if you don't understand it, it will actually enslave you. And then Jesus tried to simplify it in the New Testament, saying that when the Pharisees and the law people came in and they want to trick him, they said, "Good Lord, what is the greatest commandment?" So they were trying to test him, and Jesus could see through their eyes and see through them, and then he said, "This commandment," he said, he said, "Love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul." And then he said, "And the second one is just like the first, you see." And then he said, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." And then he didn't just end there. He told them, and here's, even though the people put it in the Bible, they tried to change the thing around so that we can look to him. But if you're in a frequency that you can see through all those illusions of traps that they put in the stories, and they will be able to see. And he said in the next verse, he said, "For all of the, if I may interpret, all the authority in scriptures, from Moses, from Abraham, from all this, all of them all hang on these two commandments. Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your soul. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. This is what I call the law of sovereignty. If Christianity don't fully understand that two law, that I don't call it law, but it's just an agreement. If they don't fully understand it, they don't understand what Christ or Jesus physically came and do, because they will always try and value other things than create doctrines out of them to be able to enslave people in the doctrines. And now we have almost 2,000 churches out of Christianity, all the different churches
no,
that come.
much more than that. It's 32. There's over 32,000 different sects and denominations of Christianity.
I didn't know that. I'm just counting the one in Fiji.
Yeah, 32,000.
Yeah,
and
32,000.
To your point, what you're saying, it is the most powerful scripture in the Bible, because he does say exactly that. He said the greatest of all of these is love.
Yes.
He said, and
so
they perverted all of those things to make them.
Yes.
Thank you. They perverted all those things to make them. To make even I would even say the 10 Commandments, the version that we have, what the scriptures say is that the new covenant or the new promise or the new agreement is written in our hearts and minds.
Yes.
And the way it lines up in the body, speaking to what Tui's been talking about with the human body being a witness, is you have the 10 Commandments. The way they were written, there was 2 tablets, but there was really just one tablet originally that was shaped like a heart. But what they did is they made it 2 tombstones, right? So that's the symbol we all think of as a tombstone, because what they did is they put death on us, right? So if you broke the 10 Commandments, you got stoned to death. That was mandatory.
Yes.
And that's the punishment. Now, I always use that as an example for anybody that tries to justify
that's true.
hate because it's in the Bible.
Yeah, so just like what you said, Tank. That's why I was mentioning awareness before when I was starting. The sovereignty is awareness within you, and no matter how much they try and put values in front of you, if you're fully aware of how you value things outside of you, they will never be able to take away your sovereignty. So no matter how much they put it in this way, you can just look through it. You will be able to see through them. And so that's what they did with the 10 Commandments. They tried to hide it in a way that people will see it and negatively react to it. But truly, even those people who are reading the 10 Commandments now in church, they don't fully understand what it means. It is the law of sovereignty, of awareness. So that's why I'm here to be able to just open up the awareness to be able to see through them and tell everyone about the law of the 10 Commandments, and it's just part of that same law that Jesus was talking about. And so, love your neighbor, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. That is the first 4 commandments. And then love your neighbor is to love yourself. That's the 6. The rest of the 6 on your relationship of sovereignty to others, that you can't impeach in their sovereignty, or you take away what is theirs or what it belongs to them. And so the one that I want to discuss today is the first 4 of the law of awareness. So the first 4, the first one is thou shalt not have any other God before me. And so if you read that commandment and you look at it in a physical way, you will not understand what it's talking about. You will think it's talking about a God that is outside of you. But if you read the words in its original language, you will see that it's referring to the me, that is the I am that is within you. That is the Yod-Ved, Hod-Ved, that is you. But if you don't think that that's what it means, then you read the second commandment. The second commandment will tell you that, what is the second commandment? Thou shalt not make unto yourself any graven image. What does graven image mean? It's all illusion outside of you, of anything, or even words, or even those are all illusion that you create outside of you. That's why you can't speak the name of God, because you're creating illusion outside of you. Just by saying God, you already created an illusion outside, just by saying it. the frequency of how you create, or what we're doing now, we are communicating using words. We are just valuing frequencies. If you don't know how to control your body, or if you don't know how to value all these illusions, you will get lost in these advanced technology that you're using every day. And because you don't even know, some people are asking me, how many senses do you have? 12 senses. How can you have 12 senses? I said, that's not that's your own lesson to actually learn, to figure it out. If I tell you, then I'll spoil, the fun of you trying to figure it out. But you have to try and figure it out for yourself. You've been using it for all of your life, but you don't know that all these 12 senses are the 12 dimensions. You understand this reality with, and then if you read the text, you will be unable to understand that he doesn't want you to even imagine or even think outside of you, to try and pretend that God is somewhere in heaven or even below in the sea. Because when you do that, you already take that essence out of you just by forgetting who you are. That's a lot of sovereignty. If you do that, you're no longer sovereign anymore. You are not sovereign. There's something outside of you is sovereign. Even if you create it with your thought and you believe it, it becomes real to you. And then the third commandment is talking, is speaking. You can't say the name of God in vain. Do not say that. Then it's just referring to the second commandment, because talking is also illusion. So if you say it, then it's already outside of you. Then if you say Jehovah and all this, and you try to pretend to say, and the Jews know exactly what they're doing, because it was given by the Ra collective to remind people thousands of years later, to remind them about their sovereignty, so that they be able to understand that they are the one creating everything outside of them. They are the ones talking. They are the one that's thinking and valuing everything. So if they don't know how they value it, they will get lost in those illusions, and it's not anyone's fault, but it's your fault, because you don't know who you are. And now that's the reason why my role is to reach out to you and Kim, to the group, to be able to make people understand. And in Fiji, it's a Christian nation, but all these chiefs were Christians. That they are Christians still, but now they fully understand what the meaning of what Christ is in their life, and the meaning of why Paul says, "I do all things do Christ that strengthen me." The karasatala, in our word, karasatala. That's all frequencies that you have within you. And this is just separated into 5 different frequencies: love, God, heart, mind, soul. This is the you inside, and the you that's within you, not outside of you. Love is within you. That's why you do everything in your life. That's why you wake up in the day. God is inside. Yahweh is inside of you. That's why you have all these different variations of your bodies and all these dimensions of yourself, the flesh, all the different frequencies of yourself. The mind is inside of you. You're able to actually keep information and keep knowledge. Your heart, you're able to value the knowledge and value the things that your body interprets you, and then you're able to work it. And then the soul, which maybe one day we'll be able to talk about, because that's one of the things that is in the trust, the soul, and it's entrusted because of what the Catholic Church understand about the soul, and they've taken every soul on the planet. So that means they've gained dominion on, but all these are based on value illusion. So if people don't understand how to organize their body and how to use it, and truly understand how the body creates everything outside of them, they will always be lost, and they will always be victims. They will always be perpetuating these slave machines that the Great White Throne has designed thousands of years. And so the fourth commandment is basically just the awareness already, just to remind you that you have to have rest in this state of war for these 26,000 years. So every 7 days you have to have a little rest, because you agreed to work 6 days a week and 7 days a week. And so this agreement has come to an end in 2017. And now you have to regenerate and self-aware, and to be able to understand that the work has to be reduced. You have to learn to know yourself again. You have to learn who you are, and then you'll be able to, you'll be able to get your sovereignty back, which is never lost. It's just in you. But because of your awareness and attention outside of yourself, you don't understand how it's used and how you have it in this place. And so that's the reason why I am reaching out That's the reason why all the chiefs here fully understand what the reason why Christianity comes to a place. Even though they are Christians, they understand that the level of awareness is different now. It's no longer like before when they try to always try to look to the cross to be able to get salvation and to get somebody to save them that's they've never met or they've never seen. They just heard and then they believe and then it's true for them. And now they understand that the story is more than what they were told. It was actually to enslave them and to get them into a slavery debt system. And they implement the debt awareness inside the Bible by creating the plan of salvation. And but debt doesn't exist in the spiritual dimension. There is no debt anywhere in the spiritual dimension. It only exists here because of how people value it and how it and people and how they think and how they have to create relationship and exchange stuff. That's why debt exists. Now everyone is a born sinner or a born debtors in the law or a born sinner in the Bible, and that's one of our major projects in Fiji. Once we are able to talk with you, Tank, and maybe talk with Kim, we will be the one. I will actually be the one to reorganize the Christian religion over here in Fiji, because I will realign the way they think and the way they understand what they think. It's not, it's like just like what the Bible says, and two-edged sword. If you don't understand how to use it, you will cut yourself with it. But if you understand how to use it, you will free yourself. And if you understand the truth, and the truth will set you free. And so 10 commandments, it has a much deeper meaning because words mean so much. Just like how we pronounce ra. I can explain it to you because you have to be a Fijian to be able to fully understand what ra means to us. To you, it will mean, whatever experience you've gone through your life, and you will try to value that sound according to the mind that you've already been, that you experience with. But these are just gifts of creation that we are gifted with. And that's why we are different. We are different in expression, in how we look. We're different in all the different aspects and how we talk. And but the same awareness within us, values, it is just the same awareness that's in everyone. And it's the same, same life force that every plant and animal shares in the sea, in the land. And to be able to understand that and to reorganize ourselves and to be able to see that we are all just one, and the God that we are looking for is within us, then it would be so easy for people to love one another, to be able to do everything for free. They don't need anything for value. They'll be able to value, but the true value is within everyone. And so, yeah, basically those 4 commandments, if you don't understand them, you will get lost, and you'll try and reveal them any way you like, but you will get lost in it, and you'll end up just confused. But if you truly value the words that is said, the frequency of the words that is said there, by what it truly not just represent, but it truly is, that's the problem. Like for me, I'm not my name. I'm not Tui. I am this physical body that's here. It doesn't have a name. It has but you can feel me when I talk, and you can understand that's more me than my name. That's what inside me than my name. And so, so I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot. You can go ahead,
No, you're
Dan.
good, man. You're good.
I think we can feel who you are.
Yeah. I can go for long because it's the most important thing. I can go for days just talking about it because it's my role to.
Hours. Just so
okay.
we're at 3 hours. We can only go 8 before they cut us off.
Okay, but yeah, that's I guess we can continue maybe another time about sovereignty, because I think everyone that's listening and everyone in the world needs to fully understand what it means, because even though it's sorry, go ahead.
We have a lot to talk about, and if I know that I've been trying to keep us down and not get into the 4-hour videos, and we're at hours and 2 minutes at the moment. But every time we cut and we stop it, we continue talking, right? After we have stopped the broadcast, and it's all really good stuff. I said, I wish I would have been able to just keep going because it's all good stuff. So I think we can.
Somebody is asking about the order. The order is simple. The order is Ka, Ra, Sa, Ta, La, Christ, or Crystal, or Charis to Christ. That's the word. There are different frequencies, but together in one unity, Christ. So that's what it means. What Christ means to us. It's the unity within ourselves, with God, and with everything around us. So in our language, we call it Ka, Ra, Sa, Ta, La, and all different frequencies.
La.
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 Yeah, and they all represent different colors of the rainbow, and together they become what we call in our language Ra Ra Ma. Ra Ra Ma in our language is light. Ra Ra Ma. That's what it means in our language, and sun. The sun in our language it means Ra Singa. Ra Singa. So my grandfather.
So part of the transition that we have to do is not just about economics. It's not about just money, right? It's to transcend money
Yes.
and move into a spiritual agreement.
Yes.
And so we're
Yes.
in the transition phase. So
yeah, so now you understand what my role is, because you asked a question about what my role is in this place, and then I couldn't answer. I told you that it's going to take a long time for me to try and say it, because I like, even talking to, I've never read these anywhere. I've never like tried to. I have this understanding since I was young. And people actually, when you ask me about the role is that simple. So for me, is to realign the awareness within everyone, to be able to, for them to remember their by listening to me, or by actually physically reaching them and talking to them, they'll be able to remember instantly. Within 20 minutes, I can convince all the people that maybe who are Christians, and they hold on to their beliefs so strongly, and they're believing that Christ is coming back for sure in the clouds, and they don't understand that it's just in their mind, and it's just an illusion. They've been taught to be able to harness that energy that they have. But once they start to realize who they really are, they will realize that the Christ they've been waiting for is them, is in them. They've been waiting for them and looking for them themselves all this time. 26,000 years. Yeah, 26,000 years. I'll mention this for the last. Sorry.
We're waiting.
Yeah. So there's people, they've been living life after life after lifetime, even though time doesn't exist. But there was the agreement for them to try and remember themselves. But if they don't, then they will do the same thing again. Agreement, timeline after timeline. And so I don't want to go there for now. Maybe that's another time. Then we can, just to create foundation on the knowledge that you think, and you then actually talking about and Nesara Gisara, that it's not just very simple as it is looks, because this is a thousand years war, thousands and thousands of years of war to be able to understand this. Because Nesara and Gisara is a plan that some people from the future are trying to try to already implement into the mentality of the mind of the people over there in the US, because they're the one they're the center or the heart of money in the planet, and they know that these people are the one that always will value that, and they will always fight for it, because it's the only thing that they truly value. The illusions of money that they have outside of them. It's gonna be hard, but I'm thankful for this platform. That's it for me for now. We'll continue.
Well, we did cover quite a lot, so we can cut this at 3 hours. So, but if we're gonna say more after this, then we'll have to record it. It's too good. I mean, everything we're talking about, is really everyone needs to be involved with. So we can't have, nothing that we're saying afterwards is really secret, right? It's not.
Yes.
It's just more trying to learn how to speak to everyone, to be on the understanding of where we're going and how we're going to get there.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're gonna sign off, man, and we'll
Okay.
say
We'll
goodbye.
sign off. Yeah, we'll survive. So, all right, everyone. Again, thank you for joining, and I would appreciate, and I'm sure everyone on our group here, Tui and Tank would appreciate if you share this link. Go ahead and subscribe and give your likes. Pound the like, pound the like. Actually, we got up to 86 likes, so another 35, 36 joined in and liked it. So everyone else viewing afterwards when we're on this video, please go ahead and like. Maybe give positive comments. Again, no negative comments are needed or appreciated. And then just go ahead and share this link. And then down below in the description, you can join in the Kringle Society and get an account, pay your $10 lifetime wallet fee, and then partake in the promotions and have a lot of coin for the transition in the world as we build a abundance-based economy. And I thank everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow on T-.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all you guys in the live chat and watching live. Thank you so much. Love and respect from Fiji to all of you guys tonight, or wherever you are, whether it's day, morning. Thank you very much, and also to you guys in the future.
And also,
greetings and yes. Goodbye all. Mother Manda.